In a world drowning in noise, where truth is often buried beneath layers of propaganda and misinformation, there's a need for a different kind of a network of creators that cuts through the clutter, that doesn't shy away from tough topics, and that delivers the unfiltered truth. We are Trim Radio Network. We are creators, we are innovators, we are investigators. We're the ones who aren't afraid to call a spade a spade. If you're ready to participate in thought-provoking discussions, informational topics, and of course today's biggest headlines, subscribe to our YouTube channel today. We're Trim Radio Network. We're cutting the bull and serving the truth.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Now, from the northeast quadrant of the United States, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla. Saturday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the Trim Radio Network. You can join the conversation in any of our chat rooms. And now, without further ado, your host, Riscalla.
It would help if we turn the mic on, huh? Hello and welcome, everyone. It is the Red Pill Reality Show, and it's an honor and a privilege to have you guys tune in because I got this moth flying around me. I hope everybody's doing well. Going to have someone I haven't spoken with in quite a while, Don. He's going to be on with me tonight. Don is some former military background, worked for the FBI, has worked for the government. Has a unique input for people like me, and then sharing it with people like you. So it'll be interesting to see what he's got to say tonight. In the interim of that, and I got a couple of more people who sent me emails on Facebook, not emails, text messages, whatever they're called. Why do you keep wasting time on 9/11? I can't tell you how important it is to understand that 9/11 was not what we were told. 9/11 was a criminal act, and the people who are responsible are still free. And even after I have demonstrated evidence, to me it's pretty hard evidence. It's videos right off of mainstream media that show what happened was impossible. I played the video where it shows the aircraft coming in one side of the building and then coming out the other, and then they realized, oops, that was a mistake, and cut it off immediately. It was CGI. That's why people, I have so many, not so many, but I have several people who are not happy with me saying there wasn't any planes. But that's what I believe. Everybody has a right to their opinion. That's my opinion. I've been wrong on many occasions. But I don't think I'm wrong on this one. I think that they were holograms. If there was anything at all that flew into the building, it would have been a missile. Now, if they were able to encapsulate that missile in a hologram, okay, but I think it wasn't any missiles, wasn't any aircraft. It was explosions with holograms that was timed in such a way that it appeared to be aircraft hitting the buildings. I mean, I'm sure that if I were there, I thought it was aircraft hitting the buildings when I watched it. I didn't realize what was going on until 4 months later, 5 months later. It took me a while to. I had this burning sensation inside of me going, wait a minute, something's not right here. Something is not right. And when I realized what was wrong, I said, holy smokes. So, let's see if I have this. Well, I thought we had one. Here we go. That one, but I thought I had.
The FBI interviewed the various people who had received a phone call from their relatives on the planes, and their reports tell a different story. One of the reports reads, starting at approximately 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is 9:30 New York time, Dina Burnett received a series from 3 to 5 cellular phone calls from her husband, Thomas Burnett. Burnett was able to determine her husband was using his own cellular phone because the caller ID showed his number. Only one of the calls did not show the caller ID as she was on the line with another call. According to the official documentation, Thomas Burnett made a total of 3 calls, one at 9:30, one at 9:37, and one at 9:44. This means that at least 2 of these calls, if not all 3, were made from Burnett's cellular phone. At 9:30, the plane was flying at 32,000 feet and climbing. At 9:37, it had reached 36,000 feet and was still climbing. At 9:44, it had descended to 22,000 feet, while it accelerated until reaching a ground speed of almost 400 miles per hour. None of these calls seems to have been possible with a cell phone from that airplane. According to another report, United 93 passenger Jeremy Glick saw hijackers on the plane, used a cell phone and called Makeley, his stepmother, to report the hijacking. He then asked to talk to his wife, Lisbeth.
And he was on the phone and he had told me that his plane had been hijacked.
According to the FBI, Glick's wife, Lisbeth, could not hear any unusual sounds in the background of the call, and the connection was extremely clear, as if he was calling from the next room. Cell phone communication was lost at 9:55. Glick placed the call at 9:37, which means the communication lasted uninterrupted for 18 minutes while the plane was flying between 39,000 and 10,000 feet at an average speed of almost 400 miles per hour. Only a miracle could have kept that connection open for all that time had the call truly been placed from the airplane in flight. Lauren Grancolas possessed a cellular phone and is believed to have allowed another passenger, Honor Wainio, to use the cellular phone. Wainio placed one call to her parents at 9:53, when the plane was at about 10,000 feet, traveling close to 400 miles per hour. Elsa Strong received a cell phone call from her sister, Lisa Gronlund, a passenger on United 93. Gronlund made the call to her sister at 9:46, when the plane was at 17,000 feet and traveling at almost 400 miles per hour. Marion Britton was also a passenger on United 93. Britton's live-in boyfriend received a cellular phone call from Britton during the hijacking. Britton told Fiumano, her boyfriend, that she had borrowed a cell phone from another passenger. Britton's call to Fiumano took place at 9:49, when United 93 was flying beyond 13,000 feet at a speed of 420 miles per hour. Peter Hansen, a passenger on United 175, contacted his mother on cell phone and said the flight had been hijacked.
Can you explain it? So there's this thing that the CIA was going to do many years ago. They wanted to start a war, with Cuba. And it was called the Northwoods Project. What the Northwoods Project was going to do was going to take remote-controlled aircraft that they were going to fly into international waters and then destroy those aircraft with bombs on the aircraft. And prior to that, they were going to have radio signals from the aircraft coming back to land saying, oh, we've been attacked by Cuban MiGs. We need help. We've been attacked by Cuban MiGs. And then, of course, the aircraft would blow up. There'd be all kinds of, because that's moth again, there'd be all kinds of wreckage in the water, and we'd blame Cuba and we could start a war. Now, why am I mentioning that? Part of the scheme that they worked up, was to take a commercial airliner with people on board. And what they were going to do is fly this airliner over an Air Force base, Homestead Air Base. And as it flew near the air base, it was going to fall below the radar. And of course, the aircraft controllers are going to go, well, what happened? But it's only literally for 5 or 10 seconds and it pops back up again. So they're going to think it was a glitch. What's happened in that short time is they have prepared another aircraft that looks identical to the first aircraft with the same tail numbers on it, with the same electronic EPIRB, I think is what it's called. It comes out, the signal that comes out in the electronic the signature. And as one goes out of radar, this one comes back up and it looks like the same aircraft on radar. The plan was to kill everybody that was on the aircraft, all the people that were on the aircraft. The plan was to kill them. So that's more than likely what happened to the people on the aircraft on 9/11. They were murdered. Some people ask, well, what happened to the passengers? More than likely, they were murdered. It's not the first time, and it's been improvised over and over. John F. Kennedy didn't like it. And that's probably one of the things that they were upset with him about because they wanted that war. So this isn't anything new. What they say is nothing new under the sun, something like that. It's nothing new. And I showed this before. I know there's a couple of people watching. And I said I wouldn't play it again. It's very short. It's less than a minute. But you'll see what I'm talking about.
But the second impossibility is in plain sight. In fact, I can't believe it took me over 12 years to see. Let me show you a still of this video. I've highlighted a building that's clearly behind the South World Trade Center tower. Yet when we pay close attention to the video, Flight 175's wing should appear in front of the building, not behind it. This is a layering CGI glitch. And this proves that this video, which was seen all over the world, over and over and over again, year after year, is a CGI rendering. Thus, it's not an amateur witness video. It's a fake. And this is one of many, many faked videos put out by the news media.
So any of you that think the media wasn't in on it, they had to have the media's help. And anybody who's paying attention can tell the media is definitely not our friend. I think one of the number one enemy that should be declared the number one enemy of the people is the media because they lie so blasted much. I've also spoken out about the thing that you know where it does what. I don't know if they're going to use that word in this short video clip. But there are still people going out and getting, this moth won't leave me alone. They're still going out and getting this thing. I don't know what to say. How do you explain to somebody after all the information that's come in, all the data that showed up? These things are not safe. I saw, I wonder, I don't think I saved that video. There was a short video of and I said, I said this even before any of this ever happened. You can go back to one of my shows. I can't remember which one it was, but it was long before any of this came up. I said, you watch in the future, what's going to happen is these people that end up being not alive anymore, directly because of the you-know-what and the you-know-where, insurance companies aren't going to pay. And they're not going to pay for several reasons. Number one, they're going to declare that these people are no longer under the insurance policy because they're no longer considered human. Because what had happened was they received a technology. They didn't receive what they were told they were getting. Number two, it was an experiment. And if you look up these life insurance policies, you will see that I think it's by default. If you are, unless you have an override, if you do something that's an experiment, you're not covered. And number three, there's a judge, as unbelievable as this sounds, there is a judge, and I don't know, I can't remember where. I think it was Arizona, but I may be wrong. Maybe California. It's one of those places where they're pretty loose. This man got the you know what, you know where because of his job. Ended up passing away shortly thereafter. I mean, otherwise he was healthy. There was nothing wrong with the guy. He was in his 50s. Passed away, and his family, on his behalf, filed for his benefits. I can't believe this. The judge, so they went before the court. They filed a suit. They went before the court because they weren't getting paid. The judge found in favor of the defendant. The family was the plaintiff. The insurance company was the defendant. The judge said, well, it was well known that it was experimental. He should have known better. I'm not kidding you. You can't make this stuff up. He should have known better. And therefore, we deemed it was a suicide because he did it of his own free will. Doesn't matter that if he wanted to keep his job, that had nothing to do with it. This is the insanity that we have lived with, particularly in the last 4 years, but even longer than that. There was a break there under Trump 1, not much of a break, but a break. And then they put the pedal to the metal, as they say in the trucking industry, and just went, you know what, to the wall. And we've had to put up with it for 4 years, and now we're starting to get some common sense. We're starting to get some people who really want to see justice. I don't think it's so much getting back at somebody. I don't think it's that as much as it is people who want to see the law observed. And they have observed people who have broken the law to go after people who have not broken the law. And that can't be tolerated. I mean, that's what communists do. And that's what happened to Trump. As many people that don't like him, you got your reasons. I understand. When he ran for when I first heard about him, I said, oh my God, this guy's going to mess everything up. I thought he was running because of his ego. He wanted to say, hey, you know what? I did whatever that was where you're fired, The Apprentice. I don't know whether other shows he's done beauty pageants, this is just another notch in his gun, if you will. I really thought that's what it was. I didn't think it was. And I said, oh my God, no. Then I found out he was running for running. I said, wait a minute, this is what I've been saying for a long time. And I'd ask people to pray, send somebody with a business mind. We need to run our country like a business because we're being ripped off as citizens of this country. We pay enormous taxes. If you think about this for a moment, all the taxes that we pay an income tax, we pay a sales tax. There is hardly anything that you can do that is not some form or shape of a tax. If you want to go camping and it's on a particular campsite that's owned by the state or the feds, you have to pay a tax. You have to have a permit. Everything that we do has become taxed. And then sadly, much of that tax and that money that gets collected doesn't get used for us like it was supposed to. That was the whole intention of the whole thing. It's supposed to be to better America. No, what's happened is it's been used to fulfill the pockets of these parasites that we call politicians. And some of them, Pelosi's come up a couple of times recently. This is a woman that's paid, I think she's up to $174,000 a year. How many years has she been here? It doesn't really matter. She's been here for 100 freaking years. How did she come up with over $400 million? Where did all that money come from? Then there was a report about her being able to perform trades better than any of the professional traders, far better than any of them, on top of the people who do this for a living. Parasites. So with the arrest of Mr. Bolton, which I believe, and I want to hear Don's input, but I believe this is maybe, to me it is, very possibly the first domino, because there's others that have already been scheduled to go testify. And I'm wondering now if we're going to be, I can't think of a right word to describe, if we'll be, I don't even think rectified fixes. We'll have some kind of, well, if these people, if I'm just thinking to myself now, out loud, Bolton got raided. What happens when Comey gets raided? What happens when Strzok gets raided? What happens when Page gets raided? These people are I really think that Bolton's going to start talking. He's going to start having to answer some questions, because I don't think this is about just a book. I did a little bit of reading, and apparently he has been in contact with some people and possibly have been giving them some information he shouldn't be giving them. With a reward, of course. With a monetary reward. And one of the things that they were looking for when they went to his house is this evidence. I think this is what really struck the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. This was it, because they already knew that he had said all kinds of stuff in his book, and if they wanted to get him, they would have got him before. I think they were waiting for certain things to happen, and once those things happened, that gave them the go. And now we're looking at, I hope and pray I'm right, we're looking at the first domino. And if that's the case, it's going to be really exciting. Maybe that was the word I was looking for before. Really exciting that all of this is going to go down. Because I can't tell you how devastating it was for someone. I mean, for me personally, watching these people literally destroy our country, literally watching the country be destroyed, and they're estimating 20. And when they give these estimates, that's just a bunch of garbage. It's probably more like 30 or 40 million people have come into this country that we have no idea who they are. Now, I do have a problem with some of these people that have been here for like 30 years and 40 years. I saw this video about this grandpa, been here for 30 or 40 years. He's worked, he's paid taxes, but now they want to deport him. I think we should find a better way for this guy. Doesn't really present a problem. I mean, in my book, yes, he broke the law, so he should have to pay for that somehow. Okay, but I think deporting him, this has become his country. Why are you going to deport? Certain cases like that. That's what concerns me with this mass deportation that's going on. But that's one guy out of how many thousands of people that they've so far that they've gotten rid of, hopefully. Because some of these people, we don't know. We have no idea who they are. And I'm going to play a public service announcement for women later on. Very important. This was going on a while back, and now it seems to be kind of, they've shifted it a little bit. They kind of turn it around a little bit. They're using a different status, a different way of doing it. And nothing like trying to call me right now. And it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, especially when you hear how this guy describes how they're kidnapping women. Something to keep your eye out for. Anyway. All right, let's see. We'll do one more. I've spoken out about this many times, and I hope they don't say the word here, but we're going to see. Here goes.
Million people on the planet got a vaccine of some sort. If you apply the range of the death rate in the U.S. that I gave you earlier, you get a range of globally 7.3 million to 15 million died from the vaccine. And that,
7 million to 15
million. Yeah. And so there's been a study by Dennis Rancourt. We've looked at his methodology. It's different than what we do. We're not saying it's wrong. It's an estimate. And he came up with 17 million, which I think you talked about. So yep. our upper range is right there with Dennis Rancourt. Okay. Disabilities, when you look at the ratio of 4 to 1, you multiply the 7 million and the approximately 15 million times 4, you get a range of 29 to, let me see, I got to look at the numbers, 29 to 60 million disabled globally. Okay.
29 to 60 million disabled globally.
Correct. And then injuries, if you take 18% of the vaccinated, just using the Pfizer, so that, again, this could be muddy, but we get a range of, at the high end, 900 million, 500 million at the low end. Injured.
500 million to 900 million who had an injury that has not disabled.
Yeah. So 5 billion people on the planet got a vaccine of some sort. If you apply the range of the death rate in the U.S. that I gave you earlier, you get a range of globally 7.3 million to 15 million died from the vaccine. And that
7 million to 15 million.
Yeah. And so there's been a study by Dennis Rancourt.
All right. They're going to just repeat over and over. I didn't realize the repeat was on that one, but that gives you the meat of the subject. Just so that you see, because I've said millions of people have no longer around because of this thing. And people have asked me, where do you get your numbers from? From doctors, from people who go out and research and have access to the real data, not the manipulated data that comes from the government. The real data. And the real data shows it's unbelievable what's going on. And they're still pushing this thing. They're still continuing to tell people to go and do this. If you're somebody who knows somebody that is thinking about doing that, or maybe has done it, repeating this, getting the, you know what, the lifter, you know what I'm talking about? I hope so. Don't go back and get more, for Pete's sake. The more you get, the worse it becomes. And they're talking about trying to make this mandatory at some point in the future still. Even with RFK Jr. there, still. That's crazy. And we can't allow, those of us who at least have a couple of neurons firing upstairs know better. We just can't allow to let this go on. You can't sit back quietly, because we did sit quietly for too long. And what happened? Because we sat back quietly for too long, they like expanded like a mushroom. Boom. So we have to stand up for what is right. And I don't mean that in an argumentative way or get in any way get in a fight with somebody. And just tell them the truth. If they don't want to know the truth, then that's up to them. But at least it's off of your shoulders that you know something that can help somebody. If you hold back on that and not tell them, and that somebody does whatever it is, and they are injured in some way, you have a portion of that guilt because you knew you could have stopped it. Only, I don't mean physically, but only you could have stopped it in the sense that maybe the better way to describe it is you could have lifted the whatever small amount of guilt there is off of your shoulders, because you would have said whatever was necessary at the time that these people needed to hear what you had to say. I truly believe that one of the main purposes of each of us is to be able to help each other in whatever capacity that we can. Not everybody knows how to be a lawyer. Not everybody knows how to be a doctor. But there are people, numerous people who know how to do a bunch of other things. And I guarantee you, a doctor, if he had problems at home and he had a plumbing problem at the house, you think he's going to go try to do it himself? People tell me because he's got the money. Well, that's part of it. The other part of it, he has no idea. That's not his specialty. He understands that his specialty is what he does. And when he needs somebody to work on something like that, he needs a specialist. So he hires a specialist. So what I'm getting at is each of us has a degree that we can help each other with. Some of us may be more than others because of the influence that we carry, but we each have that. That's the bottom line. We each have an influence. We each have a circle of people that we can influence. And hopefully we would take that and use it in a positive way, because the end result, everybody wins. That's the deal. When you create a solution where it is a win-win, one side wins and the other side wins. It's not a massive win for one side and a big loss for the other. It's a win-win situation. That's the best that you can get. I believe that's what a lot of the ideas behind Trump's, I've never read his book, but I think that's the ideas behind it. Those were one of the core beliefs of a course that I took years back that helped me understand, better about people and myself. Probably more in that 6-month period that I took that course. I learned more about myself than the whole entire time of my life before that. I realized things that, oh, wow, that's why I feel like that. Opened my mind up. And as a result of that, it drove me even harder than I was being driven before. It's important that you not be afraid to share. The truth is the truth. And even the Bible says at some point in time, everything that was in the dark is going to come out to the light. Everything that was said in private is going to come out to the public. That's what's happening right now. A lot of that is happening right now. Things that were written down that they didn't destroy are now coming out. They wish they would have destroyed, but up until then, it was all in the dark. And now it's in the light. There's going to be more and more of this as they release more and more information. I was asked about the Epstein files. I don't think they're going to release the Epstein files. I don't think it's in their best interest to release the Epstein files. And I'm not talking about, oh my God, Trump is in the Epstein files. Yes, he's in the Epstein files, but not in the way that you think. But yeah, he's in there. I don't think they're going to release the Epstein files because the Epstein files were an intelligence project. I can't think quite of the right word. But it was something that was based on intelligence, and they're not going to wash that away. One of the most powerful pieces of a product, if you will, is information, particularly dirty information on somebody. Oh my gosh. You can't, that's better than money. That's better than anything. You got a politician that you walk up to, hey, listen, whatever your name is, I'll give you $1 million if you do this. No, thanks. Okay. How about I just don't show this video? No problem. No problem. You see what I'm getting at? So I don't think they're going to do it. I think because of all the years that were put into it and all the people that are behind it, I don't think they're going to do it. I think maybe at some time in the far future, maybe. But right now, it ain't going to happen. They're going to use it to the best advantage that they've got. And that is in hopes to turn this country back around from, we were a you-know-what hair from communism. That's how close we were. All it would have taken was an uprising from the patriots, and they would have come down on us like white on rice, like bugs on a windshield, like stink on you-know-what. All right. I think that's enough of that. I want to get Dawn on. Before I do that, we're going to take a quick break. I got to refill my coffee cup, and I'm very interested to see what his insight is on all this that's going on. See if I can find it. There we go. All right. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show. We'll be right back.
I can't help but look around and feel like things are getting out of hand. We've been told to trust the science, but the science just doesn't make sense. They say it isn't mandatory, but they also say your jab or your job. But if it doesn't stop the spread, it makes it feel like this is just a facade. What about the healthcare workers? What about the frontline nurses? How quickly we forget that they were working 18 hours a day. What about informed consent? What about due diligence? It seems the country that I used to call home is surely slipping away. I can't help but look around and feel like minds are slowly starting to change. Cause even if you're triple vaccinated, know that segregation isn't the way. Freedom is a choice and it's available to all if we choose. But first things first, you gotta turn off the news. Yo, what about the healthcare workers? What about the frontline nurses? How quickly we forget that they were working 18 hours a day. What about informed consent? What about due diligence? It seems the country that I used to call home is surely slipping away. If you're late to the party, there's plenty room at the table. This side don't discriminate. I'm calling on every single man, woman, child of the able. It's time to take the streets and liberate. But please don't be a part of the problem, staying willfully ignorant, cause there's just way too much at stake. Yo, it's okay to change your mind, you can admit you were wrong, cause where there's perfect love, there ain't no shame. Heavenly Father, show me what I don't understand yet. I got my marching orders, I don't fully know the plan yet. Hold on to my Bible before bed, no it ain't banned yet. Did you know the makers of the vaccine make the Xanax? I would never lean on corporations for morality, cause they put their profits over people for their salaries. Know they wanna make you bend the knee for your normality. I know you feeling all alone, but in reality, there's way more of us than them. 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 That's the truth. There's way more of us than them. There's way more of us than them. There's way more of us. There's way more of us than them.
And we're back. Hope you didn't go too far, because we have more interesting and thought-provoking information for you coming up on the Red Pill Reality Show.
Well, what happened? Let's see. That did not. No. That didn't. Oh, there we go. That was supposed to go automatically. That time didn't work. And we got to get the camera back on because, of course, for every time we do that. All right. Well, Dawn is having issues in the background, I can tell. Let me do this. I'm gonna have him call because they're having issues with the internet where they're at. He's been on and off several times. So let me see if I can get them to just give me a call. See if we can make this work. In the interim, okay. Yeah, they're out in a remote area. I see he's back on. He's in the back. Let's see if this will work. Are you there, Don? You are muted. Let's see if we can unmute him. Nope. There we go. Are you there, my friend? Can't hear you.
You got me?
Now, there you are.
All right.
Would it be easier to call me?
No, it's the smartphone keeps going in and out, so or the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But we'll hang in there as long as we can.
Awesome. Well, I hope you're doing well because I got some questions for you. Did you listen to some of the stuff I was saying?
Yes, I was.
What do you think? What do you think is happening? Do you think that the Bolton thing is the first domino?
Yeah, I do. There's obviously they got something on him that we don't know about. I don't think it's his book or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
I don't either.
I think it's something a bit more ominous than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, because how long ago did he come out with the book? It's been a while.
Oh, it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
at the end of Daddy Trump's first term.
Yeah. So it was. They had that information from way back. So if they wanted, if that was the reason, they could have done it a long time, or because the Biden administration had taken effect at that point for those 4 years. But as soon as Trump came back, which has been 4 months, 6 months now. Gosh, we're already, Lord have mercy, we're already. Oh my goodness! I just realized we're 3/4 of the way through the month, through the year already, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point
he's done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking now that this is going to be the first domino because I read where Comey and who else? Even the Clintons are going to be asked again. I think they're in October, if I remember right. But even the Clintons are going to be brought back. So maybe this is a possibility. And from several sources that I don't know how accurate these sources are, but they're saying that this isn't just here in America. What's going on? This cleaning up is happening all around the world. And one of the hot spots right now is Venezuela. You got any input on what's happening in Venezuela?
Not a clue. Haven't.
All I know is that there's a big buildup. They've got 3 carriers there with a submarine on the way. That's something pretty heavy to me. And they've declared the drug cartel. I think this part of it is a cover. They've declared the drug cartel as a terrorist organization, and they're blocking off the waters that are there in Venezuela. I think something's going. I think they're after the Maduro. I think is the guy's name. I think they're after the president because the president is an illegitimate president. The people voted overwhelmingly for the other guy, but this guy still held control, and they've put a $50 million bounty on this guy's head. $50 million on your head, pal. Wow. Yeah, I see that they dropped out again. Their internet is dropping out, so maybe you can call me. If he calls me, maybe the phone will work better than the internet. In some places, when you're trying to do this kind of stuff, it's just it's not, especially over the Wi-Fi. We'll see. We'll see if he calls me. Yeah, $50 million on this guy's head. So I'm sure that there's a lot of people that could use $50 million. It's not like you're going to be able to go bowling, right? It's going to take some work. You're going to have to go through a bunch. But hey, if you get this guy, now I wonder. I heard it was $50 million, but I wonder if it's dead or alive. That I don't know. I'm sure it's got to be alive. I'm sure they don't want to promote more violence, right? Yeah, so I'm sure it's they want him alive, if at all possible. We'll see. Time is of the essence when it comes to this thing. It really is kind of crazy, though. We have all this stuff building up off of the shores of Venezuela, and we know that the regime there is really very anti-American and has what they're saying now. Again, this could be the cover of it, but what they're saying is that the regime is responsible for a lot of fentanyl that is coming into the United States, whether it's going from China to Venezuela and then from Venezuela somehow into the United States. I don't know, but that's what they're claiming. It's part of the drug cartels, and the drug cartels have been declared a terrorist organization. See what I'm saying? So it's going to be a CYA, if you will. I think that the cover is they're going after the drug cartels and an illegitimate regime, when it's really something far bigger than that they're really after. I understand that they've gotten their hands, that Venezuela has gotten their hands on nuclear stuff, whether those were missiles or what they called a suitcase, the dirties, the suitcase ones. I don't know what it was. They said something nuclear they've gotten their hands on. And there was a spark. There was not a spark, a spike. There was a spike on the radiation map right there near Venezuela, a huge spike. And a normal radiation reading in an area like that would be like 20 or 30 or, probably well under 100, and this particular spike was like 14,000 something. So something, a radiation spike, something happened. And I went back to check on it probably 2 or 3 days later, and it's gone. So I don't know what happened to it, but maybe they realized that, we don't want people seeing that, and they blocked it out. But 14,000 is a lot, a heck of a lot. That's like the sun came down with radiation right in that one spot. I'd be interested to see. And it was right there at Venezuela, right? I don't recall the exact country, but it was like a border country to Venezuela. So when an average reading is under 100 and you go from that to 14,000 radiation, something big went on. So I got a feeling that possibly maybe a dirty nuke or something like that went down. And again, what are we seeing? We're seeing aircraft carriers. We're seeing a submarine, and I'm told that the submarine is nuclear, so it has nuclear arms on the submarine. Not good. Not good. And then there was another report about they believe that North Korea, which I don't think I think this is more fear-mongering than anything else. North Korea now has the capacity, say they have the capacity to hit us directly with a nuclear warhead. I think about when Trump versus version 1, when he went over there and was the only president that I know of. I may be wrong, but I don't think there was any other president that was able to walk onto North Korean land and shake the guy's hand and walk away smiling. I think that he told him, "You may have the button, but mine's a lot bigger, and you don't want to mess with me." And he's given that example worldwide right now. Like I said, what you're seeing happening with all of this stuff, this isn't just here, people. This is happening all over the world. Here's another one. I don't think anybody really reported on it. Let me see if I have. This one just came to mind. Let's see if this is it.
Hi, everybody. Lori Fulbright here. Let's talk about Operation Gray Skull. So this was a federal takedown of 4 websites on the dark web that showed nothing but images of children, toddlers, and babies being raped and sexually abused. So they say that these were operating on the dark web. 18 people so far who were running these websites have also been convicted, some sentenced to life, some sentenced to 20 years in prison. They found people who were operating these sites in Virginia, Maryland, Indiana, Texas, Washington, Arkansas, Michigan, and Oklahoma, where I live as well. The guy that was running all of them, like the big boss, he has now gotten life in prison after pleading guilty. So what they say was there's these 4 websites on the dark web, but they weren't just a website. These are communities of pedophiles. These are people who can't get enough of seeing these images of child sexual abuse material. So there were 120,000 members. So you become a member by either paying or by moderating some of the sites or sharing your own images. And there were millions of files of these children being sexually abused. Sometimes these sites would have 100,000 visits a day. Let that sink in. That's how many people are out there that want to see, can't get enough of these images of children being sexually abused. So they, federal prosecutors call all of these people, of course, sadistic. They said they had a predator's handbook that they offered out, which was a step-by-step process on how to groom children so they could be abused in the future. And I'll tell you, covering all these cases here in Oklahoma, it is like they have a script. It is like there is a handbook, because I see the same things that they're saying to all of these victims. I've made other video posts about the things that I see in the affidavits over and over and over in these cases, what they say to these kids, the tactics they use on these kids, all these things we need to be teaching our kids so they can be forewarned. The feds believe that by taking down these 4 websites, they're going to make a huge dent. They say these websites have not been brought back yet, but we all know, because there is such a huge desire for this material out there right now, that this will come back in some fashion, form, or somewhere, somehow. So the key is, every time that you accidentally come across something that could be child sexual abuse material, you have to report it. Of course, Kik is doing a lot better job. Snapchat, all these apps, emails, things like that, they are doing a better job of reporting these to the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And then they call law enforcement in whatever state that came from. And we're seeing a lot of bust from that. The Center for Missing and Exploited Children is also doing a great job of trying to identify some of the children in these videos. And so far, they've identified more than 40,000 of these kids. But obviously, it is still a huge issue with this huge need that these people have to see these images. So it's on all of us to be educated about this issue. Be safe out there.
All right. Well, they're having issues in the background. I don't know if they're going to be able to get back on or not. That's one of the good things that's happening. That's probably 3 or 4 reports. That just happens to be one of the shorter ones that I saw that I wanted to share with people. 3 or 4 reports. One of them was several hundred children not too long ago recovered. Something to do with Disney, too, as well. Another report with Disney. A lot of stuff happening with the Disney thing. Over the years, they keep coming up over and over and over again. And how horrific would that be? A place that you take your children, that's supposedly an imaginary land that children just dream of, and only to find out that really what goes on, who knows? I know that I worked for 3M company many years, 20, 30, 40 years ago. God, I'm getting old. 40 years ago. And even then, a lot of stuff, their stuff was being used at Disney. There's a whole world underneath what you see on the top. There's a whole world below all of that. There's literally a whole world. You can't describe it any other way. There's offices, there's warehouses, there's refrigerators. There's anything that you would see above. It's all down there. All connected one way or another in different ways. I had the opportunity of dealing with them direct at one time in the purchasing department, and they used to share with me, we have everything down here. We don't really no need to go upstairs. There was really no need to go up there. They had everything that they needed down at the bottom. So can you imagine how sick that would be? And sadly, it appears that it's very possible that this may be one of the places where they're getting children. There's been bad rumors about Nickelodeon and how Nickelodeon was using children. All right, let's see. Looks like he's back. Let's see if we can get him on. There we go. There you go.
All right, I'm back.
All right. I see you.
All right. Well, not anymore. She turned the light off.
There we go.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot about Venezuela. Just that we have some warships off the coast, which is a pretty ominous sign, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the understanding that Trump has declared these drug cartels as terrorist organizations, and one of the reasons they're giving for being where they are so close to Venezuela is apparently that is one of the drug routes for all this fentanyl and cocaine and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So to me, that's their excuse. That's their cover, if you will. There's something else is going on, and that Maduro, right? I'm pretty sure that's the guy's name, Maduro. There's a $50 million bounty on this guy. $50 million bucks. And they announced it. They announced it on major major news. What's her name? Caroline Levitt.
Right.
She announced it. There's a $50 million bounty on this guy. I don't know whether I said earlier, I don't know if it was live or dead. I'm sure they want him alive. I don't think they want to promote something, where somebody tried to go assassinate the guy, but $50 million bucks. I think what's more shocking is not that that's the first or second time or fourth, that has happened numerous, probably you can't even count it how many times, right? But never open like this. Like, hey, listen, we got $50 million bucks for this guy. Who wants to go up and get him? I love it. I love it.
I mean, he's been a bad actor, not just for the U.S., but I think for the region and for his own country for far too long.
Yeah.
And it doesn't surprise me that, President Trump is doing something about it finally.
Well, I think he's the only one in a position where then he's got some, how do they call it in Spanish? I can't think of the word that they use in Spanish, but he's got those things that only men have, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, big balls, right.
Yeah. It is amazing. There's a lot of people are complaining. So let me ask you about this, because I'm hearing this as well. So people who really don't understand, I shouldn't put it that way, people who are not aware of what's going on, they're freaking out because he has federalized the police in D.C., and it's no longer D.C. That's another thing that they're freaking out. Well, it's Washington, D.C. It's no longer Washington, D.C. It's District of America. It's not a District of Columbia anymore. The District of America. But anyway, they're freaking out about all these. Oh my God, he's brought in all the National Guard, and he said openly, I told you he was going to be a dictator. He said openly he's going to do this in other places. He's going to go to Chicago, and he's going to go to California, and blah 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 blah. Here's what I think is happening. He's using the crime thing as a legitimate excuse. I mean, if these mayors or these governors would have taken the proper steps to ensure the safety of their constituents like they're supposed to, there would be no need. He wouldn't have an excuse. There would be no need for him. But because they've openly defied all of this, this is his excuse to get in there. And I think what's going to happen is he's putting these all these troops and stuff in places where it looks like we mentioned earlier, I think this is the first domino. As they begin to fall, I think we're going to start seeing riots and stuff like that. And where do the riots happen? They typically happen in the blue states. So, right. And where is he sending these people? He's sending them basically to blue states. So is it possible that in my finite mind, I can see what limited amount of chess I know, that this is a move in preparation for what's coming. And if I'm right, oh my goodness, for what's coming, and then what's coming is going to be some mass arrests now. It's not going to be just the little guys anymore, which they've been doing on they've gotten some judges, and they got, who else did they got? They got a couple of judges and some other quote higher ranking. They got somebody in the Senate, but there's nobody. I never heard of these people.
Right.
Names that we know, that we hear, almost on a daily basis. A name that if you heard, you would know, yeah, I know who you're talking about, or I know that name, that kind of thing. I'm talking about those names. Those names are going to begin to come down, and these people who are behind the darkness of this world and the darkness in our government are going to be paying people. Because I can't believe that if you live in a neighborhood that you're going to go out just because you live in your neighborhood and go destroy your neighborhood. I think that they're paid provocateurs, that these people are paid to do this stuff. And
Absolutely.
so the people who are doing this, the people who have done that are going to be doing this. If this goes down, like I think it's going to go down, do you think we're going to have mass arrests?
Oh, number one, we can only hope, because I believe that has to happen. I mean, these people are not going to stop just because, Trump got into office. Thank God. Like you said earlier, we dodged a bullet. Okay. Yeah. And if you think just because Trump's in office that it's going to go away, no, they're not going to stop. They see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're going for it. Yeah. And okay, 2020 Summer of Love, I think we're going to see that again on steroids. It's going to be, I think, once he starts rolling up the deep state, the minions are going to come out in force, and it's going to get really ugly. I mean, it's their only move left.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the scary part.
Left.
That's the scary part. They're now back into a corner.
That's right. And
once
we start rolling them up, I mean, if they roll up Hillary Clinton, woohoo! I mean, they're going to go ballistic.
There's been several different people reporting about her saying a couple of things. One was, if this effing moron gets, maybe she didn't use those exact words at that time, but she used those for something else. But she says that basically, if Trump gets into office, we're all going to hang by nooses. That was one. And what was the other one?
No, I heard. I mean, during his first term,
wait a second, Don.
If he gets a second term, we're all going to jail.
The other one was, if I go down, I'm taking half of the government with me. I think that's fine with me.
Yeah, really. By all means, please take them. Yeah. Take half the government.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to get rid of all the parasites. We don't need them.
I completely agree. It has to happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just going to go through this again.
Yeah. Yep.
Until they win. Until we become a Bolshevik utopia.
Yeah. How scary.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Words like the word treason. Now, I used that word many years back, but until just recently, that word was, I mean, it wasn't used as often. It's like all the time I hear it now that this word treason is being used. I think this is a public preparedness, again, for what we talked about, that it looks like there's going to be, I mean, in my eyes anyway, I hope I'm right. I really thought for certain this was all going to be over in 2020, but I was way off. I was told from, nobody told me anything. I watched from 4 or 5 different sources that there was going to be mass arrests in 2020. I was positive. I was so sure. And look how wrong I was. But I'm thinking this time it's a little different. I see things a lot differently than the last time. I see where, I mentioned earlier, he's got the feds now in the District of America, DA, and he's openly said this is the testing point, and then from here I'm going to Chicago and I'm going to California, and I think he said Minnesota, and a couple of other places where they have these crazy liberals that are allowing all these illegals to stay. He's going to send them in there as well, and I think that it's a setup, that a preparedness, if you will, for what's coming. And if I'm right, what's coming are the names that we know.
But yeah, there's got to be thousands that we don't know.
Yeah, true.
Right. No, I mean, he's doing exactly what he has to do in order to right this ship, to get us back on track. Because, the Republicans, I mean, obviously have been playing softball for decades, while the Democrats have been playing hardball and have been moving, the ball, closer and closer. I mean, not that long ago, I read something that that 2030 was their end game. That was when they thought that, this would be, the United States of America that we know will be flushed down the toilet and will become the communist utopia that they are all, dreaming about.
It was 8 years for Obama, and then supposedly 8 years for Clinton.
Yep.
And we would be
that would have been it.
Right.
Yep. Right.
It would have been all over.
Yeah, and the one thing I held, and I think you'll agree with me on this, was that the military, at least, during the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s when I was serving, was a mostly conservative organization.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what Obama did when he came in, he started firing generals because they weren't
They saw what was going on.
They weren't the right political party. And then Biden, did the same. Of course, Trump didn't. He trusted, these people, and look what he got. He got
stabbed in the back.
Yeah. But Trump coming in, and I hope anyway, cleaned up at least the higher ranks, where they will, obviously be loyal to their oath to the Constitution. Okay, rather than take I think illegal orders, from somebody like Biden, who, we can talk about that all day long, but I don't think he was in charge of squat.
Yeah.
There probably Obama was calling the shots behind the scenes. His third term that he loved to talk about,
Yeah, he openly talked about that. If I could get somebody to step in and be my stage man, I think, or something like that, then that would be great. Yeah. Well, you see what happens.
I think the military, at least in the lower ranks, in terms of lieutenant colonel, NCOs and so forth, on down, I think would be loyal to the United States and the Constitution. Higher ranks, I'd like to think that, good old Pete Hegseth has cleaned those people out of the military.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, having the military loyal to the Constitution and the president, is a real good sign. And you're right. The bottom line is that he's playing 3-level chess that we don't know half of it, I'm sure. I mean, here he is. I mean, brilliant moves when he came in, kicking the Chinese out of the Panama Canal. How the hell did we let the Chinese run the freaking most strategic location, on the planet, or at least in our hemisphere?
You have people like Carter. Was it Carter that let them do that?
Yeah. Blithering idiot.
Yeah.
But
he had good intentions. He really believed that it was for the best for everybody. Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah.
We should not have given up the Panama Canal for any reason.
Yeah.
It's
Don,
way too important.
What a kick to the groin when Trump steps up and says we're taking it back.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, we're thinking about no, we're taking it back.
I mean, the Chinese were controlling the Panama. Who in their right mind would have thought that, hey, that's okay. We can trust the Chinese.
Sure. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely insane.
Before even I can think back, I don't know how many decades back I could think to myself, They always talk about China being bad, 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 but yet they're the first. What do they call them? The first something in trade. They get preferred treatment in trade or some garbage. Well, why? Why was that? Well, because a lot of the freaking money that they're getting from over there is being sent back over here to these parasites. That's why.
Right. No, I think in good intentions, we tried to get them out of the Stone Age and into the modern world, and we just never shut off the spigot. It's that simple. And it was the status quo, just like the tariffs. We were taking it in the ass, since the end of the Second World War, until finally somebody said, why are we doing this? Why are we sacrificing our economy, $36 trillion in debt?
And what do we got? We got nothing.
All we got out of this is that we financed these, the socialist governments in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Margaret Thatcher said it best. Socialism is great until you run out of other people's money.
Yeah.
And as long as we were, financing those Western governments, Western Europe governments, then they were happy, and at our expense, though. And
that's why they're mad
Trump had to do that. It's time for them. Enough is enough. We've pissed away far too much of our tax dollars on financing socialism in Europe. Is what it came down to. The same thing in NATO. We're footing the majority of the bill.
Yeah.
And why? What number one, because of socialism, they didn't have the money themselves.
Yeah.
So it's just insane when you look at it. It made absolutely no sense. And we finally got a president to do something about it.
So here's one of the things that's happening that I'm not real happy with him about, is that there seems to be, at least now, I heard recently that he wants to do an audit, but it seems to be that there continues to be a flow of money to Ukraine. After we know what Ukraine has been up to, I mean, I don't know, those of us who look around and are not limited to just what we hear on television, we know that there's all kinds of stuff that Ukraine is doing it shouldn't be doing. There's biolabs there. There's nuclear. I read an article yesterday that there are nuclear weapons being held. Did you know that?
No.
That Ukraine was one of the largest stockpiles of, I think it was Ukraine. I'm almost positive it was Ukraine. One of the largest stockpiles of nuclear warheads. They had 3,000 nuclear warheads at one time, and they decided to denuclearize. And in the process of doing that, they were to get the protection of America, the UK, and Russia. And one of the things that Russia said very early on is they cannot become part of NATO. That is not acceptable, and we will not allow that. And I think that was the final blow, because they've been doing a lot of stuff that Putin knows that they've been doing this stuff for a long time. But I think the final blow was they kept getting talks with NATO, like NATO's going to start backing them. And actually, that's what's happening right now. We're fighting Russia indirectly through Ukraine. And I don't agree with that. And I don't understand why they continue to get the money. Again, I heard that there's going to be an audit, but that doesn't stop the money flow. Stop the money, period. They don't need any more of our money. You said earlier, a lot of our money goes to support these communistic kind of regimes and stuff like that. Well, I found out that the majority of the money that we sent over there wasn't for arms and stuff like that. It's to literally pay the government. We're buying their government.
Oh, for salaries.
Yeah.
Another brilliant move on Trump's part was just canning U.S. aid. On active duty, I spend a fair amount of time, in embassies, mainly in Europe, Eastern Europe and so forth. And it just shocked me when I was around those folks and where our money was going. It was like, why are we spending our tax dollars on this crap? Okay. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in this country. There shouldn't be one homeless veteran on the street anywhere in this country. Or there shouldn't be one homeless person, period.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the richest country in the world, yet we're what, spending money on circumcisions in Mozambique. I mean, what the heck? What? Who in their right mind would think that is okay?
Well, you know,
I mean, if there was people, they need to follow the money on that stuff because I guarantee that the kickbacks were substantial.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what I was about to say. You know, that's what they say it's going for, but baloney, man. You know, doggone what's happening.
Right.
It's going over there, or they're saying it's going over there. Somehow they're laundering that money and it's coming back over here.
That's right.
Yeah, I said earlier, I don't know if you heard in the monologue, one of the prime candidates for the parasites of this government is Pelosi. She gets paid $174,000, right? She's been in office, 30 or 40 years? It doesn't matter if she was in office 100 years. She's got more money than is inevitably impossible, physically, financially, mathematically impossible for her to come up with. She's like $400 and some odd million that she's got to her name. Another report said that her trading, when she was trading all these different stocks and stuff, she did better than the highest ranking hedge fund manager, higher than I can't think of that. Just the highest, better than anybody. All of them better than any of them. How is that possible?
Yeah, well, when you got the inside track and nobody is checking up on you, you get to do what you want, I guess.
And you get to vote on it, and especially when you're Speaker of the House and you get to be in the influential vote. I still remember this day when they were passing the MADA. What the heck is that called? Oh my God, what's happening in my mind? It's a particular act, but she said, which I guess the whole act was unconstitutional. She says, "Well, you have to sign it before you can read it." Do you remember that?
Right.
You have to sign it before you can read it. What?
Yeah, that insane. I mean, that's how they get this crap passed through Congress, for crying out loud. I mean, it's amazing that they're able to do that without really hardly anybody, throwing the BS flag. It's just outrageous. But
CYA. They're
yeah,
covering each other.
I mean, you said it right. I mean, hopefully Bolton is just the first one, and people have got to go to jail. Okay, that has been involved in everything we just talked about in the deep state.
To the max.
They need to go to jail to stop this and to right this ship.
Yep. So when Biden took office, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you might be because you're prior military. If you saw the parade that they do, the parade that they right after they become sworn in, they drive down this main road.
Yep.
A lot of the troops, I'd say well over half the troops, turn their backs on him. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Good for them.
Yeah, the videos are up on YouTube. You can see, go back and look. They literally turned their backs on this guy. And I think that the whole reason that they did what they did is they honestly knew that the election was overturned, the election was thrown, and that this guy, they wouldn't recognize him as their, commander-in-chief.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me, and I'm glad the troops saw the same thing,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that hard to figure out, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's something else. I mentioned earlier about words that are being used, it seems seemingly, at least to me, that are being used more and more now, where they weren't hardly used that much before. One of them you already said. Accountability was another one. There has to be accountability. Another one was no one is above the law. The other side was saying that the whole time that they were crucifying Trump, who was innocent of what they were crucifying him for. Now when the Republicans are saying no one is above the law, it's being carried. I hear it more and more and more. No one is above the law. No one is above the law. So treason, no one is above the law, accountability, and insurrection. That was one that was real popular back in January 6th of 20. Oh, it's an insurrection. It's the most violent. I couldn't believe how some of these people this was worse than Pearl Harbor. Are you kidding me?
Ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? And how could people believe anything like? But anyway, it is what it is. But what my point being is that these words are being used more and more now, and they're being directed at people who really did do an insurrection, people who really need to be held accountable, people who are guilty of treason. And it wouldn't surprise me if they raid Obama himself, because they've already set the precedent. They've already raided Trump. So they've already broken the rule, and now they can go out. I said when they did that initially, I said, you know what? This is going to come back to bite them in the behind.
Oh yeah, everything, all the BS they pull, it does come back on them.
Yeah.
You know, who I want more than Obama, who is no doubt
he's a foreign agent. Yeah, he's a foreign agent.
Is Slick Willie. Okay,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
That they need to take a microscope to that organization. Okay,
Yeah.
because I mean, wow. I can't believe they got away with it for so long.
Well, now, have you heard of Frazzle Drip? I think, yeah, Frazzle Drip. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
Frazzle Drip is the name of a video clip that was found on Wiener's laptop. This particular video clip is so horrific that the seasoned detectives that saw it, it was 10 or 11 of them, I don't recall the total number, but the majority of them that saw it became physically sickened. They had to literally stop watching it and go away. Wow. That's how horrific this was. Somehow, the majority of them that saw that have either committed suicide or passed away some way or shape or another. I think there's only one or two of them left. In this video, what is allegedly shown is Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin literally skinning a young lady's face alive. And as they skin her face alive, they take that skin that they removed from that young lady and begin to wear it in party.
It's hard to believe, but you know, these days, you don't know. You just don't know. You can't believe anything you see on TV or anywhere else. But that wouldn't surprise me. But I don't know. You know, who knows?
And they won't let it. They won't let the information go. They've hidden it basically.
Yeah.
When they first found out about it, it was in a lot of major news outlets when it was first found out about. When they found out, so what happened was they went after Wiener because Wiener was showing his wiener when he shouldn't have been to young girls. So they went after him for that, and they confiscated his laptop. They got his laptop, and on the laptop, they found a folder that was called insurance. And inside a folder that was called insurance, they found a video clip called this Frazzle Drip thing. And that's what made these guys really so sick. From that point on, once it was reported, it was like hush hush after that. They didn't want to talk about it anymore. Well, that laptop is still in possession. They haven't given it back to them. They still have it because it contains all kinds of national security. It has a lot of emails from Hillary Clinton on it. So the emails that she erased, not all of them are gone. And from what I understand, NASA tracks everything anyway. So she could delete them, but they probably have a copy of them anyway. So hopefully somewhere down the road here, we're going to start seeing some of the stuff that I've been dreaming of, literally dreaming of. And that is some of these people who are really, really have harmed all of us on a personal scale. They didn't just hurt the country, but they hurt us on a personal scale. The damage that Obama has done to this country is truly unmeasurable. Right. We were at some point there, but prior to him, we were some type of getting along kind of country. We were not at the odds that you see.
We're well down our way to washing away the stank of slavery, and Obama brought it back.
Yeah,
you know, he did. Simple as
and
that.
to this day, there's talk of, oh well, you know, we want restitution for our ancestors.
Yeah,
come on, man. You know, the problem with that is that when they say that, they primarily take it out on people of light skin. Well, I got news for you. It might burst your bubble, but there were people of dark skin who had slaves of dark skin. So if you think I'm lying, just go look. Anyone that's telling the truth would tell you there were black people who owned slaves.
Right.
There were white
I
people
know.
who owned slaves. It
Correct.
wasn't just white people, and it
Right.
wasn't just black people. It was Chinese too. There was a lot of Chinese
Right.
slaves. I don't hear the Chinese jumping up and down. Oh my God, we got to get restitution for us. It's all politically driven, and it's driven to the word I'm trying to divide
Right.
the people, because the longer they can keep the people divided, the more garbage that they can get away with.
Correct. No, again, study, read up on the Bolshevik Revolution. What's going on has been done to death all over the world. Okay, this is nothing new. They may be doing it a slightly different way, but they're using the playbook, and it's just that simple.
Nothing new under the sun, right? And there's something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, first thing the Bolsheviks do, they took control of the media. Okay, well, they did it in this country. Okay, then you take control of the school system, and you train the next generation of Marxists. Okay, they are well down that road. Okay, I mean, just keep going.
Well,
I mean, it's been done to death.
So one of the things that Trump did is he said, well, we're not going to handle the Department of Education anymore. We're going to turn it over to the states.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Because he could see that, right?
Yes.
So, and I think it was Obama, if I may be mistaken, but I think it was Obama that prior to Obama, there was a legislation that was in place that was the media had to be truthful, because the media was the only industry that was protected by the First Amendment. Everybody else, you can go fly a kite. But the media was the only one. And there was this legislation in place that the media had to be honest and neutral. They weren't to take one side or the other. They were just to report the story and let people come to their own conclusion. For the longest time, that was okay. I can remember Cronkite, Walter Cronkite, and somebody else. Huntley Brinkley was another one. Huntley Brinkley report. These people would just tell you the story. Hey, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. You come to your own conclusion. But when Obama came in office, and again, I think it was him, he wrote an order or something that overrode all that and said, well, the media can be used for any purpose that they want. If we want to use them as an arm of our speaking arm, then we'll do that. Now, why Trump hasn't reversed that, I don't know. But I think that's one of the things that he should do, because he said many times that it's fake media, fake news, right?
Right.
Well, the media has become the number one enemy of the people. To me, in my opinion, the mainstream media is the number one enemy. The constant lies, the constant propaganda, the fear-mongering. It's an enemy of the people. It's a way to keep us in a mental state that is not conducive to a positive future.
Absolutely. I mean, you just recent Putin in Alaska and Trump laid out the red carpet. That is how, I mean, how else is he going to start negotiations for peace with this guy? By treating him, like crap, I mean, no, he did it the right way. He's a master at negotiations.
So what did you think of this, Don? As they're walking down this red carpet, which I don't like the idea of the red carpet, but as they're walking down the red carpet, above them flies a B-1, not a B-1? I don't remember. I think it was a B-1. Anyway, a bomber and a couple of fighter jets fly overhead as they're walking down. And Putin looks up, and Trump looks up, and then Putin looks at Trump, and he's, that's just them flying by, no big deal. Just at the right time as they're walking up. Just flying by, no big deal.
Yeah. That was
oh my God.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was psychological warfare, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously Putin just saw what Trump did in Iran. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it was brilliant in terms of putting us back up on the mantle at the top of the heap. I mean, especially after the debacle in Afghanistan. I mean, my God, you couldn't have botched that up worse.
Tell me how that is not, I mean, right out of the dictionary, how is that not treason, what happened in Afghanistan? We left The estimated number was like $85 billion. $85 billion of our latest equipment.
Yeah.
We left there. Now, when we left NAM, the orders were you make damn sure nothing works. We're going to leave it behind. You make damn sure it don't work. So whatever you got to do to it, you do to it. But you make damn sure it don't work. And we leave $85 billion behind. So if they didn't need it for themselves to fight us, they could always sell it on the black market. And guess who's going to end up getting it used against us?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So how is that
I agree. And nobody got fired. Nobody.
Not even a slap. Not a slap on the hand. Nothing.
Nothing. The operation, I guess, in their eyes, went perfectly.
Yeah, they said that.
To the rest of us, it was worse than the fall of Saigon.
Yeah. They openly said, Biden himself, I'm very pleased with how it went. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the only, I guess, rational conclusion you can come to, with everything that Obama and Biden have done, is that they are actively working against the Constitution and the people of this country, actively working against us to overthrow this country. I mean, it's just that can be the only rational conclusion. There's no other. The point I was trying to make when with the whole thing with Putin in Alaska, I turned on MSNBC and they were whining about how he was treating Putin. It's like, really, you're going to start a high-level negotiation for peace and you're going to insult this guy and treat him like crap? No, of course not. You're going to fluff his pillow in the hopes that something positive will come out of it. But the left, it was like, oh, he's a war criminal and he's treating him really, it's like, my God. Yeah,
I think it's funny how they just go off. So where were all these people when we found out Hillary Clinton at the time, Secretary of State, sold, what was it, like 80% of the uranium for that year, or that lot of sold a lot of uranium to who? Right. Russia. Yeah. And never got in trouble for it. I don't know how legal that was.
Yeah, and it goes back to the point, Republicans, for crying out loud, get off your ass and say and do something.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Well, I mean, the good news is that I think there's a lot more people in Congress, Republicans, that are catching on. And of course, this time around, Trump has surrounded himself with patriots, not deep staters.
Yeah. I think he's done a much better. He had time to figure out who was going to be on his side.
They gave a brilliant man 4 years, to think about it. And, he didn't waste any time. He's doing it right. Thank God.
Yeah. So now he's way ahead of them, way ahead of the game. So I want to go back a minute because people are really freaking out about, some of the people are really freaking out about the idea that we're going to have troops and that the troops are going to be policing, if you will. But I think what the bottom line is, it's a preparatory movement towards what's coming. And if I'm right,
hopefully,
I hope I'm right. What's going to be happening is that the guys that did all the violence, all the peaceful demonstrations back in the year of, what was that, 2019, 20, whatever the heck, I can't think of the number of the year, but when they were saying there was these peaceful demonstrations, and meanwhile people are literally being murdered and stores are being burned down.
Looted and burned and right.
Yeah, many of them were paid provocateurs. So I'm thinking that the purpose of having these troops where they're at is the people who paid them are going to be paying them overtime because they they feel the rope tightening around their neck and they need some kind of relief. And the only thing they can come up with is, like I said earlier, they're back to the corner. And that's probably the most dangerous place for somebody to be, is when you back somebody into a corner. It doesn't matter how nonviolent they are. They're not going to have any choice at that point. Either they're going to die or they're going to fight back. And that's what's happening. They're going to use whatever they can. I think that they'll pay these people double and triple whatever they paid them before in order to raise all kinds of trouble. So people so the media can say, oh, we told you if you put Trump in office, there was going to be trouble. Now you see all the trouble that he's brought. This is all his fault, right?
Right. Yeah. It's a brilliant, line of reasoning. But I mean, for anybody with any common sense, you can see right through it. It's not that hard to figure out. I just wanted to say one thing here. I mean, because I've been on your show before and thoroughly enjoyed it. But hey, during the Biden years, I went to ground. I became the gray man.
I can't blame you. Look at what they did to Trump.
It was nothing personal on your part. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, I'm very careful who I talk to about this kind of stuff. Only people that, think like me and you, okay, and agree and see it. And most of them are vets, for crying out loud, and it's just so sad that we all got to that level where we were, I mean, we saw the crap storm coming, and it was like, okay, time to hunker down and prep. Okay. I'm not doing it anymore, thank God, because of Daddy Trump, and hopefully JD or Marco or, DeSantis down in Florida, will be the next president, and they will continue what President Trump started. It's not going to go away in one term, obviously. It's going to take a few decades to clean up this mess.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think? What do you think of this? Now, I've read this from several different sources, and that is that Trump 1.0, first time around, he passed some executive orders and got some legislation in place that something to do with the continuation of government. I don't recall exactly what it is, something related to that. So that when they did what they did in 2020, even though they said that Biden was the president and media was claiming Biden was the president and all that, what really was happening is that Trump remained the president of the republic in the background while all of this was going on, and that he during that time, he was literally cleaning up some of the stuff that he knew that he was going to be the president again. He was cleaning up some of the stuff that was going on that he had access to in that time. And so that when he was sworn in, and I went back and looked at the video, and some people are right, they said that he never put his hand on the Bible again because he didn't need to. He had been the president all along. What do you think of that? Oh, he dropped out. So I don't know how many of you out there listening, how many of you have heard of that he was the president of the republic, and that the United States, I think the United States of America, had filed bankruptcy and was no longer, and it was America, the United States for America, was the current administration. I may be wrong about all that, but that's what I heard. That's what I understand. So I hear he's out again. So they have been having issues. Let's see if we can get him back. There he is. You're back.
Hey, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
All right, where were we?
So what I was mentioning while you were off for a moment there is that when Trump went to be sworn in on this last go around, his hand was not on the Bible, and the reason that I'm given his hand was not on the Bible is that he was the president all along. He was like the president in the background. He was the chief of the military, the commander in chief, and that's why you see when he was sworn in, his hand is not on the Bible.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
That the corporation, the United States of America, the corporation has been bankrupted.
That doesn't surprise me.
This is some of the information that's coming across. So one of the other things that I think slowly, inevitably, because he mentioned this on his first go around, and I think it's somewhere down the road here, maybe before the end of his tenure, he's going to do away with the Federal Reserve. He's said several times like right now, he has said repeatedly how unfair it is for them to continue with these high interest rates and not allowing people, to become homeowners and things of that nature. That was one of the other things that I was not happy with. There are a couple of other things. This is one of them. I don't really see a big change in pricing. Do you see the only thing I've seen a big change in is price of eggs. Everything else remains to basically the same. Do you agree or disagree?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So what happened? I maybe it was naive of me, but I kind of expected pricing to go, particularly gas. Gas is just as high as it's ever been here. So I expected pricing to drop a little bit, but it seems as though, if anything, if there's been a change, it's been for more.
Now, I mean, up here in Virginia, I have seen the gas, drop a little bit. Okay. Maybe 10 cents or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
that happened, but then it just popped right back. That happened here. As soon as he was elected, it dropped like almost 20 cents, like 18 cents a gallon. I said, oh, wow, this is great. And then within a week or two, we're right back to where it was. Now it's even more than it was then.
Yeah.
So I don't, that's some of the stuff that's bothering me right now. I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, I think that, Biden turned off the spigot, and
absolutely.
And and Trump turned it back on again. And it's going to take some time, for the effect to come around.
Well, I would have hoped that by now, by the end of Trump's administration, first time around, I was boasting that where I was at, I was living in Florida at the time, we were paying about $1.95, $1.96, somewhere in there, a gallon. I was boasting to one of my friends who lived out in the Midwest somewhere. What we were getting is worth $1.75 where he was at. So we know at one time gas was as low as $1.75 somewhere. I was kind of expecting that to start happening by now, because he was the one who was saying, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to do this. We're going to bring the price of, everything down. Well, I don't, again, this is one of my frustrations. Maybe it's too early. Maybe, again, I'm naive. I don't know, but I just don't seem to remember that. I seem to remember a faster, particularly in gas and the price of gas. That's something that's stuck in my mind because I had to buy gas. I was a serviceman. I had to go out and do service calls on a variety of different companies. So I had to constantly put gas in my car. So one of the things that stuck out of my mind was the price of gas. And I remember him taking office, and it was, oh gosh, it seemed like within a month, the price of gas became, wow, this is great. I can't believe it. And it continued to drop. It didn't just stay at there. It just continued to go down and down until it got down to that point where for us, it was around $1.95, $1.96, somewhere in there. I was kind of expecting that to happen by now. So he was in January 20th, right? So we got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. We've got 7 months since he's taken office. And I mean, for me, I don't know, I'll ask anybody out there listening, we're in the chat rooms, tell me what you're paying for a price of gas. Right now, right here where I'm at in northeastern Ohio, it is a little over $3. I think it's 301, 302. Down in the chat rooms, tell me what you're paying. I'll see what they got to say.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at in Virginia, it's under 3. I saw it at 280, 80 something, 85 or something like that the other day. Well, I mean, it's better than where it was. That's
263 in Tennessee. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time to crank up the oil making machinery. More disturbing is, Biden drained the strategic oil reserve. I mean, it's like, do you not know what that's for?
Do you know what I heard? The whole reason he did that was to keep the price of oil down so people wouldn't freak out.
Thank you.
How disgusting. Because he could have put his foot down and said, no, this ain't going to happen. Forget it.
Yeah.
But it would have hurt him so bad he wouldn't have been able to deal with it.
Right.
So he manipulated by selling our reserves
Right.
in order to keep the price of gas down to keep everybody happy. Meanwhile, who really suffered? We suffered.
Yeah.
We're the ones who end up paying for it all.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to move to Texas. 245 in Texas.
Oh, nice.
Good gravy.
Good for them. Well, that's where a lot of it's coming from. So why not?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of oil fields in Texas.
Yeah.
And when I think of Texas, I just think of oil fields. And I know at one time they completely stopped that, but now we're supposedly with this new administration, we're going to be, drill baby drill, as he said.
Well, it takes time.
245, that's sweet.
I think Biden had so thoroughly shut down that industry and made it much harder for him that, it takes time to crank it back up again. I mean, I realize that. I didn't expect a dramatic drop in, gas prices, initially, but I think it will come down,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially now that we're supposed to, I guess we're going to be providing Europe with gas, with oil.
So the Speaker of the House, Mike, I think his name is Mike something or another.
We call him Father Johnson because he looks like the guy on MASH, the priest.
So
no, nothing but respect for that man. Trust me. But he looks like a Catholic priest.
So there's a short video clip of him saying that he was talking to Biden about cutting off all the gas to, overseas. And Biden said, "No, I did not do that." And he says, "Sir, with all due respect, you did. I can show you, blah, 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 blah." So this guy, that we called the president, which I don't even think was Biden to begin with. I looked at pictures before and after, and there's so many differences. The ears are different, the nose is different, the mouth is just somebody that resembles the other guy is what it is. Anyway, he says, "Then, sir, with all due respect, you did, and I can show you the record if you want me to show you the record." So all of this time that whoever this individual was that was allegedly doing what he was doing didn't have a clue what people were doing for him behind his back, and created such a nightmare for us. So I think people don't understand. If you look at it maybe from an analogy of cancer, you've got a patient who's in stage 4 cancer at this point, and it's going to require some pain and some sacrificing in order to be able to overcome it, because that's how close we were to literally being a communist country. I never believed in my life growing up. And you may have experienced this as well. Growing up in school, believe it or not, people laugh at me about this, but this really happened. Growing up in school, we had two kinds of alarms. We had the fire alarm and we had the air alarm. And the air alarm was a whining siren. The fire alarm was a bell. And when we heard that whining siren, we'd have to get up under our beds, under our desks, and put our head between our knees. And sit there until we were told it was okay to come back out again. That created such a fear in me of nuclear war. So in my first week in basic training in the Air Force, we had a training instructor who was about as badass as you could get in the Air Force, I guess. He comes walking in one day, and he has a newspaper in his hand. Unbeknownst to me at the time, it had a fake front. But the newspaper said on the front, it said, "Limited nuclear exchange in Vietnam." I almost wet my pants. It was the first time in my life I'd ever been so scared that I was going to lose control of myself. That's how scared I was. This was my biggest fear growing up, that we were going to experience nuclear war. And what happened was he let us stew on that all day long. Come nighttime, he come back out and he pulled the false front off of it, and it had some benign front page, something or another. But he said to us at that time, he said, if we ever lose to communism, it won't be because of this. It won't be because of nuclear war. It will be because they will use the very freedoms that you and I fight for against us. And that's exactly what has happened since that time. They use the freedoms that we have allowed them to fight us. People like Omar, whatever her name is, Omar Kilm, whatever flipping name is. There's four of them up there that are from other nations that have gotten into our government and want to bring their gold where they came from. They want to bring those beliefs in here instead of being grateful that we allowed them to be where they are. They fight the very system that permitted them to do what they want to do and try to make it worse. So that TI, that training instructor, was so spot on. What was it now? I was 18 years old, almost 50 some odd years ago. He was spot on that if we were going to be taken over, it wasn't necessarily going to be nuclear war. It was going to be the freedom that we fight for. That will be the very tool that will be used against us in order to overcome us. And that's basically what's been going on.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the one thing I think that has them most worried is the Second Amendment. They've gotten around the First Amendment. Yeah. Damn. But the Second Amendment, that's why they have been trying for so long and so hard to take our guns away. Because once that happens, we're done. Period.
That is the last line of defense that we have as people is the Second Amendment. And from what I understand, this administration is actually fighting to withhold any more of that garbage, to stop it as much as possible. So one of the things that I read as I was growing up, I read about the story, I think it was right after World War II, or maybe it was before World War II. I think it was before World War II, where the government was before one of the world wars. Because I'm not sure if it was in World War II, but the government came in and said you have to turn in all your gold. And I thought to myself, how can the government make people? That's stupid. We would never fall for that today.
No.
And then COVID came along, and you had no choice. And some people had no choice but to be able, if they wanted to continue pursuing their lifestyle, they had no choice. They were not given the opportunity, and so they did what they did. So many years ago, they literally required people to turn in their gold, and now here it is, 40, 50, 60 years later, thinking that people know better today. There's no way in the world that people would fall for that again. Okay, they didn't fall for the gold. They fall for something else, but they fell for, it was the same basic thing, a basic right that you have. You have a right, an inalienable right, actually, of owning that gold. Nobody has a right to take that gold, as long as you have not committed a crime or something. All that aside, if you're just a peaceful person, a law-abiding individual, and you own gold, I don't care who it is, they don't have the right to take that gold from you, but they did. We stepped forward 50, 60 years. I don't care who you are. You're a law-abiding citizen. You're a peaceful person. Nobody can force you to do the I can't say it because we'll get the algorithms, but you know what I'm talking about. And I thought to myself, that's not going to happen. And it happened. And now they're talking about another one. They're talking about, oh, definitely there's going to be another pandemic in the future. We need to be prepared. How many people are going to fall for it? I played that little clip. I don't know if you saw the clip. Minimum of 500 million people that have been damaged. 500 million people that have been damaged. And the slap in the face and the kick in the groin is the people who damaged them cannot be held liable.
Yeah, that's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
It just shows you how crooked all of this is.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. That's why like I said, it's going to take decades to fix this shit, to right this shit. Okay, and Trump is just beginning. Okay, and he's doing an absolutely fabulous job. Everything I see him doing, I'm going, yes, spot on.
I agree with what he's doing, but what frustrates me is some of the things, like I mentioned to you earlier. One of the other things that he was adamant about is you're going to try to pass legislation. We want one line. We want to be able to know what it is that you're doing. And then they pass this big, beautiful bill. I don't know. It's like 1,000 pages. It's like some crazy thing. Why? You know, I go back to, why do you give money to Ukraine? Why do you continue to give money to Israel? Isn't Israel self-supporting? Why do we have to give them money every year? Stuff like that. I expected, especially with the Doge thing going, I expected that they would bring an end to that. Hey, listen, all this money's going to Israel. Listen, we have no idea. There's no accounting for it. We just give it to them, and they do whatever they want with it. We got to stop that.
Yeah,
and you know, I mentioned earlier, we're $30 some odd trillion. We should be living like the Jetsons, and there shouldn't. And what you said, I totally 100% agree. There shouldn't be one single person. There are more houses that are empty. A realtor friend told me this. There are more houses that are empty than there are homeless people. There shouldn't be a single homeless person.
Yep. Yeah, here we are.
All right, I'm going to take a minute, and because I got to get some more coffee. But this is a kind of like a public service announcement. So if you have any ladies nearby, I want you to get the ladies nearby. I want you to listen to this. This is very important. And I'll tell you that this has been going on for a long time. I mean, I personally have had experience with this in a different way, but it was basically the same thing. And that's a way to kidnap women. So give me just a minute. Let me get, let's see if we can get it going. If I can find it. Here we go.
If you are female, listen to me closely. This could save your life. Past couple of weeks, there has been an alarming increase at the rate with which women have been kidnapped, abducted, or disappeared. Attempted kidnappings have skyrocketed. The people responsible for these kidnappings, they're using an older method, but in a different, new way to trap their victims, who are almost exclusively female. The scariest thing about this is that it's happening in very public places. In fact, the more public that it is, the more likely it seems that it will happen. Walmarts, grocery stores, mall parking lots, happening in the store, not necessarily in the parking lot anymore. Right in the store, among the employees and customers, you will be approached by someone. The interaction will seem very benign, because one of the things that they are doing that's different, they are using people who are your age and your gender. People will strike up a conversation with you and be very friendly. In some instances, they even asked the person to pray with them. They knew they were religious. They are doing their research. They are very clever. This person, they will try to hand you something, a book, or for instance in New York City, they're using Post-it notes. They're asking for directions and handing you a Post-it note so you can read the directions that they are looking for. In any regard, they're handing you some sort of object. These objects that they try to hand you, they are laced. They have a drug on the surface of the object. This drug is absorbed by your skin. It's designed to make you very drowsy and easy to take, kidnap. Once you touch this object, they will go call or text whoever is waiting by your car. Most people panic when they start feeling unusually drowsy. They don't know what's going on, and they'll try to get to their car to get home. Do not touch an object that a stranger tries to hand you, no matter how nice they seem, no matter how comforting they seem, no matter how genuine they seem. If they're your age, your gender, you have things in common, it doesn't matter. If you do happen to touch an object like this, all of a sudden feel unusually drowsy, quickly get to the most public place that you can, to the most people that you can, and ask for help immediately. Such an increase in the occurrences of this happening. So many girls, females, women have gone missing. It's unreal. Just in the Washington area alone, it's over 300. Now, more than ever, you need to pay attention to your surroundings. Be wary of who is around you and what they are doing. And don't, under any circumstances, touch an object that a stranger offers you. If this even saves one life, be safe.
I don't know how that volume got so loud. My experience with this is I had an acquaintance of mine years back was at a gas station. This was a lady. She was at a gas station getting fuel for her car. Another lady walked up to her and asked her if she liked this perfume. And she had, I don't know if this is still happens, but back then they had these, like, it was almost like a card, and it would have the smell. You'd scratch it and it'd have the smell of the perfume. And she walked up to her and she said, "Would you like a sample of this perfume? Scratch this card and you can smell it." So she scratched it and smelled it and became almost inebriated right there on the spot. Fortunately, because she was still had some thinking going on upstairs, she walked away as quickly as she could from this person into was one of those where you have a little grocery store, gas station kind of thing. Walked into there and went to the cashier and said, "I need help. I need help. Call 911." So if she hadn't had the presence of mind to be able to walk away from this person, they would have probably taken her and her car. This person would have probably just put her in the car, walked her into the car, and then got in the driver's seat and drove off with her. So this new way that they're doing, it's a different twist. And now you can be in a store, you could be in a grocery store, and somebody walks up to you. You could be in anywhere where there's people, and somebody walks up to you, very benign looking, very peaceful looking kind of person, hands you something, and most of us that are honest just believe other people are honest as well. Grab it before you know it, you're feeling woozy. I would do what that guy says. First thing you want to do is you want to go somewhere and ask for help right away. I would if you're in the store, go to customer service. If you can't get that far, you just start screaming for help right there where you are. Call 911, call 911. Somebody may think that you're crazy and lost your mind, but they're still going to call 911. And that's what you need at that point. The last thing you need is to have somebody escort you out. Anyway, I hope that that reaches somebody, even if it's just one or two people. Just be aware of what you're going on. Be aware of your surroundings. It's something that sadly, I had to learn early on in life. I witnessed some things that, things that are nightmares that are made out of. Things that, I was at a shopping center one time. This is probably 1973, 75, 76, 77, somewhere in there. Back then, there was this thing called the Cocaine Cowboys who were real active in Dade County. That's where I was at the time, down in Miami. And they were real active, a lot of the stuff that was going on. Back then, it was a Friday. I got paid. You didn't have electronic stuff like you have today. You physically had to go to the bank, sign the back of the check and give it to them. And then, they put it in your account. So that's what I was doing. I drove down the Palmetto Expressway and got off at Dadeland and went to the Bank of America, deposited my check. And as I'm walking away from the bank, going to my car, I hear behind me what my first thought was firecrackers. What it turned out to be was one of these cocaine cowboys doing a hit job. And the guy that they were after was in a liquor store. And it was like something out of the movies. This guy literally shattered the glass to get after this guy. He was going to murder anybody that was in the way. It didn't matter. I witnessed that and just ran to my car as fast as I could, got into my car and drove off. I got out of there like a bat out of hell. I was so scared. That was just one time. I'd seen things like that 4 times before I ended up leaving the Miami area and moving further north. It was getting pretty bad for a while there. So I can't imagine living somewhere like DC where murders were like 3 and 4 and 5 a night, or Chicago. Oh my gosh. Chicago's like, there are more murders that go on in Chicago in a weekend than we're in a war, for Pete's sake. It's pretty disgusting. Anyway, I hear you background there, Don. What's going on?
Nothing. I'm just
oh, you got it on speaker. Yeah, I'm hearing the speakers. What I'm hearing. Or a fan, maybe a fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a fan going.
So did you get to see that little video clip I played?
I did.
Make sure that anybody that you just mentioned that to them.
Yeah.
To especially to our girl.
Yeah.
Because this is something that seems to be on the uptake, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the algorithms for my Facebook page. Got these little itty bitty flies. I don't know where they're coming from. My Facebook page seems to be saturated with people missing, and I would say 95% of them are kids, and of the kids, well over 80% of them are girls missing. It's just every day I see 7, 8, 9 posts about, kids missing and women missing. It seems to be, they're, I don't know. It just seems to be on an uptake to me.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, sadly, I conceal carry every day, all day. And that's, I think, where we're at right now. Hopefully, Trump will right that ship as well.
I've heard repeatedly that he's been able, and there's no proof, so I can only go by what people are saying, that a lot of these tunnels have been destroyed. Hundreds and hundreds of children have been recovered. There was one report about, and I think it was something related to Epstein Island, where they were literally breeding children for their rituals, for their purposes, whatever they wanted, whether it was sexual sacrifice or not a sexual pleasure or a blood sacrifice, rituals of some sort. Some of these children that they found had never been to the surface of the earth. They've lived there all their life. How horrible is it? I mean, what an existence. What kind of a mind would put another human being forcefully through that? I mean, maybe these kids didn't even know they were being forced, because if you're brought up from a child in a certain manner, you just think that's normal,
Right.
Your parents beat the snot out of you every night. That's just normal to them, know. But not that I'm saying that's what's happening there, but that's what I'm saying is, however you are brought up, you just think that way is normal. If you have nothing else to compare it to, these children had nothing to compare. They didn't live up here with other kids. They just lived down there with all the other kids having the same stuff done to them. So it was normal.
Yeah. There is no doubt just pure evil in this world. And it's incredibly sad, and it's I don't think humanity has progressed that far in the last 2,000 years. It's hard to believe.
Well, and you mentioned earlier how you kind of went by the wayside for the duration during that time. And it's understandable because they were if you said something they didn't like, and if you were somebody who could influence enough people, that would present a threat to them.
Right.
They would make stuff up. Look what they did to Trump. People don't realize how serious what they did to Trump is. And there's people who believe all of that's true, Riscalla. You're just a conspiracy theorist. You would do anything that Trump tells you. Baloney. No. I'm there for the truth. And the truth of the matter is all of these things that they charged him with, he was innocent of. The one particular one that kept coming up, I couldn't believe this. And of course you got a judge who wants to do harm. So I hope they hold that guy responsible. Yeah. But the charges were that he I can't remember the word that they used, but he manipulated a situation where he defrauded. That's what it was. He defrauded a bank of all this money. He said that Mar-a-Lago was worth far more than what he listed it as. I think at the time he listed it like 18 million or 20 million or something like that. The bank came in and said, he paid his loan off. We got all our money. We don't have any problem. We'd loan him money again. And even with the bank's testimony, they still found him guilty. What the hell? It just goes to show you how criminally twisted these people have become. So if you're somebody that has enough influence that says something that could threaten, their agenda, heck yeah, they'll find something. Even if they make it up, they'll find something to charge you with.
Yeah, Stalin said it. Show me the man, I'll show you the crime.
Yeah.
That's
Look
what
at the J6
exactly
people.
what they're doing.
The J6 people, that how many of them were in prison, and some of them solitary confinement, and literally the only law that they broke technically was they were trespassing. And they're supposed to be buildings that are federally owned. Okay, well, where did the money come from? The federal government bought these buildings. The money came from us. Hello. So technically, you know, we paid for the building. We can't be held, you know, for trespassing. But because they needed examples and they wanted to bring as much fear, and that was part of it as well. They wanted to promote as much fear to anybody else who has anybody else got any idea of doing anything like this. You better think about what we're doing to these guys right now. And they made sure that it was very public. All the trials were, you know, this guy's guilty. He's got, I don't know how many years they sent these people. Solitary confinement, for God's sake. They weren't violent people. They never threatened anybody's life. The only person that died that day was an unarmed United States Air Force veteran, and I'm trying to think of her name, Babbitt. I can't think of her first name. Maybe it was Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt. Murdered, literally murdered. And that man walked away. That cop walked away. It's a hero.
Yeah. I mean,
I hope they hold him responsible. I really do.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
It's amazing.
I hope they hold him
Bird,
responsible.
I think his name, Bird. I think they promoted him.
I'm not sure about that, but I know they you know, they gave him, you're like, oh, he's a hero. He stopped one of the people, blah, blah, blah. He shot an unarmed woman, for God's sake, in the head. There was no mistake that he wanted to kill this person. There's no, when you want to stop somebody, you know, you don't want to kill him, but you want to stop him, you shoot him in the leg. You don't shoot him in the head. And it was point blank. It was like point blank range. So point blank range, I think, is what, 3 feet? Within 3 feet is point blank?
Yeah. Sure.
You're going to miss their leg at 3 feet. You don't need to have a gun. Go away. So I hope they hold him responsible. That's straight up murder.
Yeah, I agree. You know, meanwhile, during the Summer of Love, you know, I don't think anybody got arrested, or if they did, the judge immediately set them free. I mean, there was no prosecutions that I'm aware of. Maybe there was, but I mean, just the contrast between, you know, Antifa and BLM and all the crap they you know, inflicted on the public, and it didn't seem that they were held accountable whatsoever. Meanwhile, J6, I mean, I have a close personal friend that was there, and if he had told me that he was going to that, I would have begged him not to go, because I knew in my gut what was going to happen. And
it was a recipe for a setup.
Yes, and that's exactly what it was. And you know, they came, you know, FBI SWAT busted down his door and took him into custody and ransacked the house, and he went through you know, all the legal, you know, BS, and they put him in jail for 13 days until Trump got into office and pardoned him from all. So,
awesome.
Yeah, I know. And
look at what he had to go through.
He's a great guy, a great father, a great husband. You know, I'm proud to call him a friend, you know, but yeah, he was just caught up in you know, the big scam.
And I think there are FBI agents that did that, like the FBI agents that raided Mar-a-Lago, and the FBI agents that murdered, and I can't think of his name right off the bat, out there out west. I think they all should be held responsible. Not a one of them has been held responsible for what they've done. They knew doggone well what they were doing was breaking this man, violating this man's rights, a breaking of the constitutional rights. They didn't, you know, one of the things that we learned when I first joined the service, one of the first things that we learned after taking our oath was, if you're ever given an unconstitutional order, you do not have to obey that. And I'm sure that, I don't know, maybe they're not told that anymore. Things have changed so drastically, maybe they're not told that anymore. Maybe they're told whatever order you're given, you're to obey that order, which is not, that's not what the Constitution says. And that's not the oath that you took, you know. So, and some of the videos that I see with some of these police officers, I don't think they really understand. I mean, I saw one the other day that was, why do they have police officers like this? This is the reason police officers get shot, because of people like this. Literally came storming up to a guy who happened to be a private investigator, just watching, sitting there in his car in a legal area, parked legally, watching what's going on for his client to see what's going on. This guy comes storming up to the car. He's got his weapon out, ready to blow this guy away. Let me see some ID. Who are you? What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. One thing after another. And he goes, wow, wait, slow down. Calm down. People like that don't need to be cops. You need to, Anyway, I'm far for it for me to say, because I'm not a cop, but I'm just saying, judging by the video, the whole approach was just wrong. Why don't you just walk up to the guy, excuse me, officer so-and-so, and what are you doing? And I've seen the other side of that, where somebody does walk up in a calm approach and they get blown away as well. So, I mean, I know it's a two-way street, but there has to be a balance of some sort. If this was a person that was going to hurt you, you just gave him more justification to hurt you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and to add on to that, I mean, I've had a couple of very close friends that were police officers, and the stories they told me, I mean, it's an outrageously stressful job, especially if you're in, if there's a riot going on. I mean, it's how these guys do it. I have nothing but respect for them. I mean, the crap they have to deal with just every single day is really just, it's hard to believe. So, if
I respect the good guys
and goes over the edge, I kind of understand, but still, I agree with you. There's got to be a point where they say, okay, you've seen enough. It's time for you to find another job somewhere.
Yeah, but it helps everybody. It helps the rest of the police officers.
Yeah.
It helps public relations between the citizenry and the police. It's one of those win-win situations. Sadly, it doesn't happen enough. Now, again, we're in a massive change. We're so fluid right now. Yeah. Maybe all of that's going to be something of the past here very shortly. I don't know.
Hopefully.
I am concerned that Trump wants to see to it anybody who shoots a police officer automatically gets the death penalty. What happens if you literally shooting one in self-defense? There have been stories where they break into the wrong house and they don't say that they're cops. They just break in like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then once they've broken the door down, then they start yelling and screaming, "Police, police!" By that time, this guy fired at them, shot one of the officers, and he got shot. Both of the people lived, but he got held for attempted murder of a police officer. They had the wrong house.
Yeah.
So if he'd have shot that cop and the cop would have died, then he would automatically die. They had the wrong house to begin with. There was no defense. He didn't end up in prison. He ended up doing a bunch of what do they call it, community service, and he was on probation. They put him on probation, and none of it was his fault. So here's another one I just thought about. I didn't write his name down. There's a father who had his 14-year-old daughter groomed by this 59 or 67-year-old, I don't recall, a very older man, a much older man, much older, old enough to be her grandfather man. He was groomed by this man over the internet in one of these applications that they have. And one night he hears his dog barking, and he goes to check things out, and he checks his daughter's room. His daughter's gone. Calls the police, and the police find his daughter with this guy, and they arrest the guy. His daughter comes home. The guy goes before a judge. The judge gives him some kind of lenient thing, and he's back out. He's back out on the street within days. This guy's back out on the street. About a year goes by, from the way I understand the story. A while goes by. He finds his daughter missing again. The dog's barking. He finds his daughter missing again. He calls the police, and the police are out looking for her. And he says to the police, "You find him before me, because if I find him before you, he will no longer be." He found them before they did. He literally murdered this man. He killed the guy. He killed a guy using his bare hands. He killed this man. So they held him for first-degree murder, and then they lowered it from first-degree murder to something manslaughter, some kind of manslaughter. The people it was a small community. The people in the community were such an uproar and gave the judicial system such a headache that they ended up dropping the charges on this man. No, I'm sorry, that's a different one. This man, I think, is still in prison. This guy's still in prison. There was another one where a similar thing happened, and the dad caught this guy with his daughter. It didn't happen twice with her. It just happened once. He heard his daughter yelling and screaming, and he went to see what was going on. He found this guy with her, and he literally did him in on the spot. They held him for murder, but there was such an outrage they let him go. But this other guy, he's still in prison. I don't know how long ago that was, but he's still in jail for murder for a man who was let out after he raped a little girl. They let him out to do it again, and then when he does it again, the judicial system is going to just let him out again. This is one of those states where it doesn't matter, you know. There was a guy I can't remember the guy. There was a guy in New York. A lady was in the subway minding her own business. This guy walks by and pours some kind of flammable liquid on her and lights her on fire, burns her alive. Literally. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
This was a while back. He burned her alive. They took him to prison, right? They took him to jail. They jailed him that night. I don't think he ever went to prison. I think they let him out on some kind of bail because they have this cashless bail garbage, something stupid. And I think they let the guy out. And then when so many people cried out, they went and got him again. They went and rearrested him and put him back in jail. But they're willing to let these people go.
Yeah, the judicial system in this country is broken. It is broken beyond belief. Okay?
And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing.
Right, exactly. Yep. Well, I mean, again, Soros has paid enough, judges, helping them get elected or whatever. And this is what you get. I mean, it's outrageous.
Now that you mentioned him, I wonder if he will be one of them that has to go before. Man, you talk about excited. Now I will be excited. I'll be like a kid in the candy store.
It'll lead right back to that scumbag and his son, and those two need to be taken care of.
They need to be held responsible. Accountability, absolutely. A word that has been repeatedly used recently. Accountability.
Right.
Let's just hope that's true. Let's hope that's what it is. That's what happens. That these people are held responsible because they have created so much pain and heartache.
Yep.
For so many people. Oh my gosh. So many people. So I'm looking forward to, this is the first dominoes we mentioned earlier and the other dominoes that are coming. I'm looking forward to see what they have, what's going to be the next one. This is kind of an exciting time, but if you're on the other side, it's a very scary time for them because, oh my God, we have the troops are now in the cities. They're not supposed to be in it. We're not supposed, unless there's an emergency. Guess who just declared an emergency, by the way?
Yeah, it's an emergency. It has been an emergency for quite a long time. Yeah.
So if you're on the other side, they're going to continue with the promotion of the fear. I told you he was a dictator. Now you see what he's doing? He's doing exactly what dictators do. He's getting rid of all the people that don't agree with him. That's not what's happening. Yes, they don't agree with him, but they broke the law. They won't mention that part. It's just he's just getting rid of the people that don't agree with him. And now he's putting federal forces all over the place. We're going to be communists. You just wait and see. I told you not to vote for him. You should have voted for Kamala.
Oh my God. I could not possibly picture where we be right now if that halfwit was in the White House with her freaking VP tampon Tim jazz hands,
So I have friends from all over, and I try not to kick people out of my friends line, out of my being friends on Facebook just because they didn't vote for Trump. because I want to hear what I want to try to get an idea of why they think what they think.
Yeah.
So, so I have a friend of mine who got one of my Facebook friends who got very upset because they found out that I voted for Trump. How they couldn't figure that out, I don't know, because I'm constantly putting stuff up. So,
Wow.
so I said to her, where do you think we would be now if we had Kamala as the president? And she says, well, we would have free health care for everybody. Everybody gets free health care.
Oh,
the other thing she told me,
nothing's free.
We would, our carbon footprint would be much lower because they would stop all of the fossil fuels. They would put on an end to all of that.
Where do these people come from? What kind of blithering idiot believes any of the garbage that the Marxists are putting out? They don't understand what's going on. It's bizarre. It's like, wow.
I can't help it. I think of some of the answers that I get, it's like, I can't get mad at them because it's like talking to a little kid sometimes, Listen, Johnny, would you rather I have $100 bill and I have a candy bar? Which one would you like?
Yeah.
Give me the candy bar. Give me the candy bar. Right? So it's like talking to a child. They can't figure out in their mind. They can't, come to a conclusion.
They're outrageously gullible. They're shooting the 5-meter target, right in front of their face. They don't even know that there is a 1,000-meter target out there, and that's how they go through life. I mean, they actually believe the garbage that they're getting on CNN and MSNBC and so forth. It's like, my God, guys, I turn on MSNBC. I just want to know what the crazies are talking about, But
it is, I mentioned earlier about that. I'm fairly certain I'm correct when I say this. Prior to Biden, prior to Obama Biden,
right.
They weren't allowed to do what they're doing today. And that's when, again, I'm very grateful for Trump, because if you compare what would have happened if the other side would have won, we mentioned earlier, we probably would not even be able to have this discussion in the manner that we're having it. We'd probably have to have it in some underground place. It's like, I know I'm laughing, but seriously.
No, I completely agree.
It reached a point where they literally shut down the president at the time. The president of the United States got shut down off of Twitter and some of these other platforms. If they could do it to him, they could do it to us. And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Yeah, we dodged a huge bullet. Thank God for Daddy Trump.
Yeah. And people like Tulsi. And people, I'm weary of Pam Bondi, because, again, I lived in Florida. Pam Bondi was the AG in Florida for a while there, and I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was something related to the guns. I think it was something related to the Second Amendment that she, whatever decision that she made, I was very unhappy with. I don't recall exactly. I just remember, man, it was not the thing to do. But so far, I mean, I have to go by what I remember now and what I remember and what I'm seeing. So far, so good. She's doing a good job. It seems to be on target with what we want, what the people want, and that is to start bringing the real criminals to justice. That's what I think the majority of the people want to see at this point. The real guys, the ones who really created so much trouble for each of us on a personal level in our lives. It wasn't just that, the interest rates are going up. Okay, well, not everybody's buying a house at the same time. Not everybody's buying a car at the same time. So, certain people are going to be affected by that. Not every living person is going to be affected by that. What they did, every living person is affected by. And we go back to the word accountability, a word that is being used more and more. We want to see that. The people want to see accountability. We want to see people held accountable for breaking the law. We watched you hold someone who was innocent accountable and rake him over the coals. And now you broke the law in order to do that. And you're crying like a baby because they are trying to hold you accountable.
Yeah. Well, when you have the mainstream media microphone, then it's easy for them. All you got to do is go on CNN or whatever, and they'll let you say what you want. Oh, he's a dictator, he's a king, all kinds of wild garbage, but the media gives these people the microphone to sway their opinion, the people's opinion one way or the other. What did Biden start up that department? It didn't last long. I think it lasted a few days. The disinformation department or whatever. I mean, that was like, you gotta be shitting me. I mean,
it's amazing that it went out. It's amazing that even for 2 days.
Yeah.
That just shows you how corrupt and how vast the sickness is, how wide this darkness is. And I gave the analogy earlier. It's like cancer. It's like stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
People who are at that point in their life with that going on in their life, they're hurting. They're hurting bad, and they want to face the truth. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take pain and sacrifice. But the result, God willing, the result is a better place for everybody. It's not just a better place for Republicans. It's a better place for everybody.
Thank you.
There's a thing right now where the LGBTQ, whatever, RSTU, VW, whatever that is, they're saying that, well, he doesn't like us. His agenda is against us, blah, blah, blah. They don't realize that he's hired gay people in the past.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an issue with that. What he has an issue with are people who don't do their job.
Right.
So this is all propaganda against him. And when I say things, I'm sure I'll get 1 or 2 texts about tonight saying, "Oh, your nose is up his crack." No, it's not that at all. Think of what, for those of you who tell me, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist," you would support Trump no matter what he did. I'll tell you straight up, if Trump broke the law, if Trump was on the Epstein list as a pedo, then he should suffer just like anybody else should suffer.
Thank you.
Straight up.
Couldn't agree more.
But I don't think that he's there.
Huh? No, I don't either. I don't either.
I don't think that he's there. So the whole thing for me, first of all, let's just say because these people keep saying, well, he had 14 and 15-year-old beauty pageants and he took pictures in lingerie with them and blah, blah, blah. Let's just say all of that is true. Does it continue? Is he still doing that to this day? Or has he done it just a few years ago, for Pete's sake? It stopped a long time ago. That tells me that even if he did do what you say that he did, that he may have acted improperly. I don't know, it was sex, but he may have acted improperly. He said many times he loved young women. He made some, to me, was kind of crazy remarks about his daughter, how his daughter was so beautiful, he'd take her out or some stuff. I mean, that's okay. So let's just say he was like that for a while. I don't judge him for that. I judge him for what he's doing now. What is he doing now? What has he done in the last, say, 15 or 20 years? And if you look back even further, you will see even as far back as 30 or 40 years ago, when he was talking publicly to people, he was saying, I don't want to be in politics. I'm happy where I'm at. Okay. But if I did, I would have all of our allies paying their fair share because they're sticking it to us. We're paying all the bills for all these people, and it's not right. So even way back then, he was saying what he's going to do.
Yep.
It's not one of those things where the other thing that I find about him is that a lot of these guys that are in politics, many of them, not all of them, many of them, they don't use the name that they were born with. They have different names. You realize that?
No.
Trump's been Trump all along. There's all these other people that have they get a different name when they were, I don't know what they call it. They have a name for it, but they'll get a different name when they go run, maybe a more appealing name or something. I don't know. Netanyahu. Netanyahu wasn't Netanyahu when he became Netanyahu. He was a Polish, I think it was, Polish background. They changed their name to be more appealing. And Trump's been Trump all along. It's crazy. I answered a guy today. I'll take a short break in a minute because I got to get some more coffee. I answered a guy today. They were talking down. Well, Trump did this and Trump did that and Trump did the other. And so I asked him, "Are you a Christian? Do you believe in the Bible?" Of course I do. I said, "Do you realize that God in the Bible has used, I don't know, 5 or 6 different people that were of what you and I would consider criminals? Moses was guilty of murder. Moses, the man who led the Jews out of Egypt, Moses, the chosen one, was a murderer. Hello? Anybody listening?" And so they got all these bad things to say about Trump. So I answered with, well, in the Bible, God has used many people that weren't of great stature. They're pretty bad in our eyes, but he took them and did great works for them. Oh boy, they didn't like that.
Yeah.
That kind of got him twisted. But I mean, that's a fact. I'm not saying that that's God doing, God is using Trump. There are many people who believe Trump was brought in through God, that God is using him. I'm not doubting and I'm not confirming. I'm just saying in the Bible, there are a lot of people who were less than honorable, much less than honorable, that God used and made a tremendous positive outcome for people using them. So maybe it's possible that this is the same thing. Okay, he has a dark past with some young people. Has that continued? Does it continue this day? I don't see it continue. I don't see it continuing to any time recently. I see that if it ever occurred, it stopped a long time ago. I don't think that he really had a sexual problem with women. I think that he had like fantasies, and he would live them out literally on live. Oh, you're such a beautiful woman. I'd love to date you. Putting words in his mouth, and I don't mean to, but it's that kind of thing. Again, his ego is, huge. I guess I'm not a billionaire. I don't know. Maybe that comes with being a billionaire. I don't know. I have a hard time being a thousandaire.
Yeah, really. No, let me add on to what you just said. In that, Sandy told me early on, years ago, that Donald Trump is Archangel Michael reincarnated.
Oh yeah, you know what? I think she mentioned that to me.
Yeah, and that I don't know. I don't even think she knows, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, because what he's doing, he's not only saving this country, but I think he's saving the world. I mean, he has how many wars has he helped stop? I mean,
they don't see that.
I didn't even know what they were going on, but here he is saving. He's trying to save, thousands of lives in Ukraine, both Ukrainian and Russian. And personally, I don't really give a damn one way or another, but I look at that and I'm going, damn, that guy is righteous. I mean,
we're up to he is up to 8, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know of any president who's ever done anything close to that. I mean, hell, Obama was really good at bombing people, for crying out loud, and starting.
Yeah, nobody complained about that.
Yeah,
I remember them asking. He literally murdered an American citizen out of the country. He was out of the country and he had him droned. And when they asked him about it, leaving this little boy, his son, fatherless, his son said he should have picked a better father. What?
Wow.
So here's what I wrote to this guy. Throughout Scripture, God has used flawed individuals for his purposes, such as Abraham, Moses, David, Jacob, and Peter. To me, this shows that God can do great works through broken people, not just perfect ones. Right. No, I am not Trump's biggest fan. I do, however, see the positive things that have happened with him being president. He has opened the White House to prayer, not just any prayer, prayers to Jesus. When was the last time a president literally prayed openly in the White House? Yes, there are terrible things I hear and see about him. The question to me would be, do these behaviors continue? To me, one of his biggest drawbacks is his ego. Then again, he's a billionaire. Maybe that comes with the territory. I don't know. I'm barely a thousandaire. And this guy answers me and says, "You, brother, you have got this all wrong. You're giving this a crapshoot," is what he calls it, because I supported more than bringing him down. I'm happy with what he's doing. I'm frustrated with some of the things that haven't happened, but overall, I'm happy. I'm glad that he's there. Again, I can't imagine where we would be if we had the other person.
Right.
One of the people who said, in order for me and you to have this discussion, we'd have to be in a bunker.
Right.
Probably.
He's done more in 6 months than any president I've ever seen in my lifetime. So, I just hope he just continues on, and in the next 3.5 years, he just keeps, checking the boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert says we would have to get talking in hidden bunkers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right, Robert. Yeah, man. We make sure nobody's, have somebody check at the doors, checking everybody out before they come in. It would. Yeah. I'm laughing about it, but it would have gotten pretty serious. And sadly, I don't know how many people would stand up to it, because look what happened during the COVID thing. How many patriots out there that tried to stand up to it were just, shot down? How many of them would be willing to stand this time, do or die kind of stand, because basically the COVID was, in many ways, was a test in and of itself. Absolutely. It was a way to see how far they could push people.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean, how many people in the whole military, refuse to take the vaccine and dishonorably discharge? What, they're like 8,000 out of how many people? That's kind of disturbing.
Yeah. Now, I think that they're making ways for them to come back too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but you got to put food on the table. You got a family. I mean, a lot of them just, had to bite the bullet.
It would have been hard for me. I know.
Not a lot of people were looking at getting that damn shot. Okay. Yeah. Until, Biden, forced it on the public, I mean,
I know for me, if I was working, fortunately for me, I was self-employed, but if I had been working for someone, I would have walked away, and it would have been very difficult for me.
Yep.
But I would have walked away. I wouldn't have, knowing what I know, prefacing the statement, had I been working for someone and knowing what I know, I would say thank you very much, but no, I'm not going to do that. Or if they would be willing to sign an agreement, if I am harmed in any way, shape, or form, you are held liable.
Yeah.
Look at the 500 million in some way have been damaged some way.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. They're not saying a heck of a lot about the damages that vaccine did to the human race. They're just, you don't hear anything about it. I'd love for Bobby Kennedy to come out and talk about this,
Well, I will tell you that he's banned Thermosol. I don't know if you know that, but he banned Thermosol. Thermosol is the mercury that is in them.
Right.
At least one of the damaging, at least one. There's still a lot more that's damaging. But, someone told me a long time ago, how do you eat an elephant? And I laughed. I go, you can't eat an elephant. He says you can't. If you were starving, how would you eat an elephant? I said, I don't know. How would you eat an elephant? He said, one bite at a time. One bite at a time. Right. So, this thing with the removal of the Thermosol, well, that's the one bite at a time. Yep. That's a pretty good bite.
Yeah, and then taking the dyes out of the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it. And he's fighting against probably one of the most powerful entities in this country is the pharmaceutical and
the food industry.
Right.
Yeah.
And the food. Right.
Yeah.
Big time power. A lot of money, a lot of lobbyists. So
if you think about it, we do have a lot happening in the background. We have Tulsi
Oh,
Gabbard, who's after all the wrongdoings, the political wrongdoings that have broken the law. You have Pete Hegseth, who's down at the, working out the border, and then this new thing that just fired up in Venezuela. You got Kash Patel, who, from repeated reports that I've heard, not only is after the criminals that were attempted to do a coup, but they're saving all kinds of children. So there's all of this stuff happening, and much of it I don't think is mentioned in the mainstream media. We don't get a lot of news about it.
Yeah, I mean Newsmax and Fox, but and I really wish they would publicize every little thing these guys are doing, because it's important for us to know that stuff.
Yeah, but that would work against their agenda. See, that's the problem. I think he mentioned one of the first steps towards gaining a foothold in a country and changing that country is to get a hold of the media, and that's what they've done. If we could get the media to start saying the truth, not what they're told to say, but what the truth is, there would be a big change in this country. I really believe that. A lot of the division that's going on would shut down eventually, because people would have to come. They at that point would have no choice but to come to the wall and say, okay, either I admit that I was wrong, or I know that I'm wrong, but I'm still going to continue to be wrong.
Right.
I don't know how many people would walk down that road. I know that I was wrong. I admit that I was wrong, but I'm going to continue it. I don't care. I hate him so much it doesn't matter. I know there's going to be a few, but I don't think that would be the main percentage of people. I think they would come to the realization, I was lied to, so I will take my fault for hating him or spreading the division, but I was lied to. Now that I'm understand the truth, I'm not going to behave in that manner anymore. I'm going to do, I'll do something else. And I think that would be a big healing to this country, but I don't think that's coming. I think what's coming is more division first because of the arrests. And I think that the laying out of these federal troops all over the place, I think that's the preparatory. I think that's the evidence. Something big is coming.
Yep, probably. And
all right, I'm going to we'll take another quick break because I have completely run out again.
All right.
I'm going quickly here. Let me see if I can find it. All right, don't go away, guys. I'll be right back. Thanks for hanging in with me, by the way. I know Saturday nights is hard for a lot of you. You'd probably rather be out doing some other stuff, but much of the stuff that we talked about we could probably help some people if they knew. Help them make a better decision about life. All right, here we go.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla.
Come with me if you want to live. Stay here. I'll be back. You have asked, are we happy? Are we happy and effective? Consultation with leading experts in the field makes it perfectly clear, that we are all now programmed for perfect happiness, perfect happiness, perfect happiness.
We see what they want us to see. We hear what they want us to hear. They think we can't handle the truth.
If you feel you are not properly sedated, call 348-844 immediately. Failure to do so may result in prosecution for criminal drug evasion.
the humans remain entertained until the end.
Control. All subject of the divine. Control. Created in the image of man. By the masses. Control. For the masses. Control.
We're back. Hope you didn't go too far, because we have more interesting and thought-provoking information for you coming up on the Red Pill Reality Show.
All right. Well, let's see here. Okay. I think I got it. I got it. I put my ears on. Now I got it. Are you there, Don?
Yep.
I think
I'm here.
There he is. I see a hand.
Yep.
There you are. Yep. We see you now. No more hiding.
All right.
My goodness. Anything else you want to share with me?
No, no, not really. I just, I think Cash Patel and Dan Bongino are nailing it. And I'll say this: I wish I was a fly on the wall in their office, so I definitely would know exactly what they were doing, and I bet it would shock everybody.
Oh my goodness!
The road they're going down and what they're after. I mean, there's going to be a plethora of information out there that they're following leads and trying to get to the bottom of this cesspool.
Bongino said something to the effect of, I don't know how I'm going to go. I don't know how I'm going to live, or I can be normal again after seeing what I've seen and learned what I've learned, something like that. So apparently he was exposed to something that was really radical, really, really radical.
Well, probably more than one thing, I would say. There's plenty of negative, criminal stuff, deep state stuff out there that it would shock us. It would blow our minds. And he and Cash have seen it, and well, hopefully they're just going to fix bayonets and then keep charging.
Now I understand that they're with Bongino, they have hired an assistant to the assistant or something, another assistant director that's going to work with Bongino, because I think Bongino has expressed that this might be too heavy for him. It may be too much for him. He when the issue of the Epstein files initially came up, and they said, well, there are no Epstein files, and everybody, went berserk. Bongino, there were reports of Bongino threatening to quit because of the way that Bondi handled the whole thing. One report said it was heard that Bongino said something to the effect of either I go or she goes, because she screwed it up so bad, something like that. So that may have some kind of an effect on why they brought in another assistant, so to speak, in case a situation like that comes up again. Or maybe he's just going to bow out. Maybe he doesn't want to do it. I can't, if some of the stuff is so ugly, and I can only, I don't want to imagine, but I can only think to my mind, my God, if it's that bad, that as seasoned, I mean, Bongino's somebody, he's not new to this thing.
No.
He worked Secret Service for a while. Right. So it's not, and I think he was a police officer on top of that prior to that. So it's not something that he's new to. And if he's saying something like, oh my God, I don't know if I'll ever be normal again after what I've seen.
It's got to be really bad. No, and he just got done battling cancer too. So I mean, the guy's a gladiator, I mean, he didn't have to do this. Trump didn't have to do this, but somebody's got to save us.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
You know,
Somebody's
and
got to step up. Yeah.
they stepped up, and they're doing a fantastic job. God bless them for that.
I'm grateful for them, for each of them. I don't know that I could come anywhere near doing what they're doing. I think Tulsi probably is, of them all, maybe Trump is number one, whose life is under threat. Trump would probably be number one, and Tulsi would be number two for all the stuff that she's bringing up, all the dirt that she's finding. And then Pam and Cash and Dan right along them. But Tulsi she's really put her neck up there. Really, I think it would take a tremendous amount of fortitude and courage to come up with, and to say, in my opinion, this president committed treason.
Yeah,
I think what she said was, the evidence shows, there's overwhelming evidence that shows that there was a conspiracy to overthrow the government. That is treason.
Yep.
So basically, she's accusing them of treason. She's not saying they committed treason. She's saying they committed a conspiracy. We have the proof they committed a conspiracy, and the conspiracy was to overthrow the government. And that conspiracy to overthrow the government, that is treason.
Right.
It's like I said earlier, those words are being used a lot more now. I mean, I've used them quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the mainstream media, where you're hearing it more and more now. That treason, what was the other one? Insurrection.
Yeah.
Accountability. What was the other one? I wrote them down. More and more. We're hearing more and more. God, I can't think of the other one. I thought I wrote it down.
Authoritarian.
I guess I didn't write it down. It was another one. Oh, above the law. Nobody is above the law. How many times is it going to come back and bite them in the proverbial behind before they realize you got to keep your mouth shut?
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, they set the precedent. They raided Mar-a-Lago. And today I saw a video clip. So I don't have TV, but I get the video clips off of a variety of places: YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, all kinds of places. So I saw one today. It's the first time in history. I think it was the first time in history. I'm pretty sure it was the first time in history the former ambassador has had his home raided. They're freaking out. What about what happened with the president? Oh, well, we raided President Trump's home today in Mar-a-Lago. I also heard, now I haven't been able to confirm this, but I heard orders shoot to kill when they went to Mar-a-Lago. I'd like to find out if that's true. Whoever had orders to shoot to kill.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so dangerous.
Wow. And whoever was willing to, hold that order, man.
Yeah, that's spooky. But you have to. I mean, the brainwashing has been going on for so long that you have to assume that there are agents out there that have also been, indoctrinated into the ways, of Marxism.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just,
a hell of a cleanup job.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, we are out of time. I want to thank you so much, Don. Good to see you and talk to you. I haven't talked to you in quite a while, but I'm glad that we were able to do that tonight.
Hey, this is Kramer.
Hey.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill,
I miss my kitty.
take the blue pill.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Greatly appreciate you hanging in there with us. I'll be back in a week. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, my friend used to say. God bless.
Take the red pill, take the
See you soon.
Take the
Okay,
red pill,
later.
take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This
is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance. This is your last chance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.